I probably have to cancel out the host at the moment, and then I'll see if we've got the codes. It always weirds me out a little bit whenever I see No Virtue, who I'm quite fond of watching, being hosted. Awesome. All right, we've got the transcodes as well. But yeah, so I tend to host No Virtue, who's quite a talented Stellaris player as well as a streamer. But it's really weird whenever I do a Monday Stellaris game, excuse me, and I see her broadcasting from the host because it's sometimes hard for me to tell the difference. Anyways, I think I sort of indicated this the last time that I streamed Stellaris, but the idea that sort of there's this big climax of the contingency in this case. And it turns out that we were rather well prepared to deal with it, or, I just didn't set the difficulty high enough. I sometimes struggle. Like, I've tried on Grand Admiral and definitely gotten clobbered in the past. So I think I got a little gun shy, or maybe I just got lucky on this run. But we definitely were able to sort of throw our weight around on this playthrough. But of course, the drawback is that there were a few decades left after the big event has happened, and it sort of struck me as something that could take potentially multiple streams, and I'm sort of feeling like that's not the sort of thing that the live audience would necessarily want to watch. And it's nice for a lot of games, particularly for Cultist Simulator and even Stellaris to a certain extent, to have sort of this document, because I know of the full playthrough, because some people do use them as chances to learn the game. But also, I know that some people really like just having them as these, long things that they can watch and sort of put on in the background as they do something else, maybe even if they just play Stellaris on their own. So I try and preserve the integrity of the series as much as I can. But hey, Olaf, it's great to see you. I had to leave Ari's when she was being, at the risk of being too gossipy. I thought she was being quite unfair to you. So I hope that got resolved. But I'm really happy to see you. And I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to say a proper good evening when last time I said. I figured the last thing I probably should have done in that moment would say, okay, I'm leaving now, which would have made the situation worse. But it's great to see you, and I'm glad you got to see. Hey, Johan Enar, how are you doing yourself? But yeah, so the idea here was I sort of did a compromise, given the fact that there are already so many episodes in this series, or it's not really a series, but given that there have been so many playthroughs where a lot of it has been sort of the managing of planets and whatnot, I decided to go ahead in the timeline. So we've got 5 years before the very end of the game. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's one of these ones. I don't know why, but I have a preternatural ability to be taken in the absolute worst possible way whenever I say things. And this is true of work, too. Like, I will say stuff at work which I think is very straightforward. It's a question of like, hey, here is a better way that this can be done. And it is always interpreted as being, overly complicated or sort of unnecessary, or it's like, so it feels like there's no, I know I've said this a couple times in the stream, but it feels like the principle of charity has just been completely abandoned, that, you're given two potential interpretations and the worst one is picked. And even like in terms of online, I at least, for me, at least with online, because I do tend to be very sarcastic, and I realize that doesn't translate very well online. I sort of understand that to a certain extent I've brought some of this on myself by bringing that on. But even divorced of that context, I'm definitely quite aware of the fact that I sort of know I cannot necessarily be taken the right way for one reason or another. I mean, I'm sure there's something I'm doing wrong, which if I could only figure it out, I'd fix. So I do my best not to inflame, but I'm glad. Yeah, well, it's a tricky one. Like in the work context, I can say, you know, I need to sort of follow my own advice. Sorry, guys, there will be Stellaris here, but Olaf's definitely a good friend of the channel, so we can vent our sorrows before I move on to sort of the plan for the day. But you know, in the work context, it's definitely one of these ones where, while I want to be as sympathetic as I can to people who maybe just don't know any better, or to maybe appreciate that there is another point of view that maybe I'm failing to appreciate, in that, in the context of work, there's definitely an incentive for, you know, your idea to be picked or something like that. And so there's only so many times when that can come up, and it has less to do with whether or not you're being taken at face value, or whether or not just there's a little bit of gaming going on to try and make sure that, you know, someone's pet moves ahead or something like that. But I mean, you do what you do, right? Can do, right? In my case, you know, if I've given offense, I do my best to address it as quickly as possible and explain, you know, where it's appropriate, explain what my intentions were. And for the times that doesn't work, you know, sometimes to a certain extent, I can't be responsible for other people's behavior. You know, if somebody, the best example that I can take is, you know, we're in a time now where if you go online, there's going to be people who will just go looking to be upset by something. And at that point, it has very little to do with what you said, so much as the fact that, you know, whatever it was, you had done something that caused this person to go trawling for whatever they could find. But that is one that, you know, you really just kind of sit with, and you manage as well as you can. So, the overall plan. We've got 5 years of gameplay. I did decide to start a war. Now, the reason why... So this was going to be the subjugation of the Divine Posjok state. These guys have definitely fallen quite early. And as far as I can tell, we've taken all of the planets. There's also currently a bunch of storms going on. The catch is that they're also in a federation, and I'm in a federation, so... you know, I believe in order to enforce the war goals, it's not just me taking over the Divine Posjok state, but it's also fulfilling the war goals of all of my allies. Now, this was really my last kick at the can. Even if we bring peace, because these guys are in a federation, there's not going to be any more time for any more conquest. So we're going to ride this thing as long as we can, but I figured it would be as fun... You know, it would be a fun way to sort of spend the time. I have my outside option of settle status quo. So in this particular case, while I would not turn them into a subsidiary, they will be the Posjok Empire will sort of be reformed, and it'll become an ally. So, you know, a new Posjok Empire will be created as an ally or a subject of Djomar Limited out of 79. Oh, you know what? Maybe it will. Well, I mean, I do still have the war going on, so we'll take as much as we can. I figure at this point we've already established ourselves as the savior of the galaxy, and the you know, I've kind of been putting the screws to my allies to make sure that they don't grow too big. I think it's fair to say, looking at the score here, we don't have that much to fear. And so maybe at this time I'll be a little magnanimous and try and achieve as many war goals as possible for them. So we'll wrap up whatever bit of the war we can get. It is sort of interesting. It would be kind of neat to see where this game would have gone if there wasn't a hard timeline, because it turns out that this federation, the League of Interlinked Systems, the Mandate of Ulu Umu actually has some somewhat threatening or used to at least. I did clobber a few of them. they had multiple sort of 70, 90K fleets. So this meant that I wasn't able to just take, single 230 stacks and sort of run them around without consequence. I actually needed to make sure that I wasn't getting caught by these little expeditions that they're sending out. And you can see that there's still meaningfully strong fleets running around. Also, they wound up taking a whole bunch of territory off of the Great Astwani Polity, so I had to sort of recover a bunch of that. One other thing that I did was I essentially opened branch offices everywhere in the galaxy. We were running a huge deficit. I believe the amount that I was spending in terms of trades, I think I was looking at something like 9K. I think I was spending 9,000 a month in terms of minerals. And so what I did was I did private prospectors for mining. I did virtual. So there's pretty much all of the old Khanates territory. Of course, I picked the 2 planets that they have. The old Khanates territory is primarily habitation or like stations. And so in these cases, I used virtual entertainment studios because on the ring worlds, I've been building a bunch of labs. And finally, we're back in the black. We've managed to balance the books in Djomar Limited. So we'll finish the war one way or another. We will try and bring about some balance in terms of employment. In fact, what I'm going to do here, anything that isn't a habitat or basically anything that isn't constructed, I'm going to close down in the outliner. I'm going to focus entirely on sort of my artificial environments for the next little while. This is just to try and bring a little bit of sanity in my timeline. And then I think it's a little late to work on this, but given that we are now fighting the Divine Posjuk state, we are now in a position to check out the Infinity machine. So we will research the project. That particular mission, a metallic orb hovering around the Gargantua black hole, is now open for study. What will we find once we reach its processing center? Who knows, but we will find out. Where else was I? But yeah, there's also going to be I'm still going to wind up doing some sort of housekeeping as far as the overall shape. So here's a good example. Like, not all of my fleets wind up in the best of health by the end. Now we still have the problem of a huge
Our
surplus.
station is under assault.
Oh. All right, that was to be expected. I'll wait till these guys get healed up, and then we'll come and take back some of these.
Engaging hostile station.
So basically, I'll let time sort of go by as I sort of deal with some of these issues and whatnot. But right now, the Empire is sort of racked with unemployment. So one of the things that I'm going to do to try and fix that is basically deal with a bunch of... basically, I've been building a bunch of ring world sections. I've been trying to produce whatever goods I need. Okay. Problem is I've also got so much in terms of energy credits, and I don't think I have anything else I could buy them with. Yeah, education campaign I should be running no matter what. Oh yes, these will last for 33 years. So at this point, clearly, seeing as we have less than 10 years left, I should be popping all of these. Okay. This gives me something I can spend my money on. I'm really close to the limit, though. So again, this is me being ridiculous. I don't even necessarily need all of these. This is just a chance for me to buy up some, or to get some crazy edicts down, because I have the resources. And we need nanites for the last one. Now, that one I may not be able to afford. Yeah, we can't buy those. But as far as edicts are concerned, unless I want to be paying a really heavy cost for going over the edict capacity, I will, you know, I should leave the rest. Is basically what I'm saying. Now, it occurred to me I was dealing with pirates in a really inefficient way, so I've got all these. Well, I'm still dealing with pirates in an inefficient way, but in terms of my patrols and whatnot, like what I wound up doing was I would like go and deal with pirates, and then I would have to redraw the entire patrol. There's really no reason for me to do that, because if I just do the same control shift, notice that I've got the attack plan against the pirate fleet, but the patrol is still intact. So I should have been dealing with that. I should have been dealing with them that way quite a bit sooner. An unprotected trade route that passes through the Saramore system has attracted the attention of a roving band of pirates. These outlaws have gathered a sizable fleet that is intercepting much of the system's trade. They must be dealt with. All right, so while that happens, I'm actually going to crank the speed up here. I'm now going to be taking all of my Ringworld sections, and basically this one's got 25 jobs, so I'm going to find the planets with the largest unemployment, and I'm just going to try and get as many bodies working as possible. As you can see, I've got lots of planets with like 50 people unemployed, so it's not going to fix everything, but it's a lot better than what I've already got here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay, these trade deals I think were for minerals. No consumer goods for energy credits. Fair enough, I can live without that.
Red alert. Spaceport
That's
under
really
fire.
interesting that the consumer goods here are
We have
turning
lost
oh,
a mining
wait, these are
station.
ones you were probably buying. All right, and then basically I'm going to reset each time that I go to a new location. So
We have lost a mining station.
for example, here I've got production unit. There's only 2 jobs available there. Actually, with that in mind, let's just I'll grab it from whatever planet I can find. For 2, I don't really need to worry so much. So processing unit, and again, maybe even at this point I should just be approximating instead of like looking at the list each time. Maybe let's say 50 or more. And it says 26. So this is basically just something that I can do to keep myself occupied while I wait for other events. So we've got 26 jobs available here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Red alert. Spaceport under fire.
12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Oh, I think I brought one too many along. That's life, though. Okay, habitable section A. So these are the ones that I was sort of rebuilding in the previous stream.
Engaging hostile forces.
What was it? 36. One, 2, 4. I'm just going to ignore this for a while. Or actually, no, I shouldn't. Gagation habitable section. If I wasn't short on energy, I would have ignored it, but in this case, it actually makes sense to do that. All right, I did unfortunately mess up the order for which ones were being separated, though. Okay. 32 works for me. So this bring me up to 26. That's annoying. It looks like it's switching based on the largest population group. I keep forgetting it does that. All right, so we've got 7. There's a couple of reasons for wanting to do this. Like, so one, just from the point of view of like, I'm playing a space game and obviously I've got this backstory in terms of the species and all of that. I don't want to see rampant unemployment in terms of my empire, but more importantly, these areas have a lot of really useful production. So, for instance, they make consumer goods, which I was running a big deficit on for a while because of my research. I put administrative capacity. As you can see, we're pretty much ignoring empire sprawl again. So I put a bunch of administrative sectors on these planets. Right now, all of these ring sections are being ignored. So it's not just the fact that I want to be a nice guy that suggests this change. It's actually the fact that there are good reasons to want to have these spots filled up. So we had 48. Nope. I'm going to have to do some work on that. All right, building on what remains of the ruined ring world in the Gamma Refuge system, our engineers have managed to fully restore one of its sections. The new biosphere had to be created more or less from scratch by our leading paleontologists, but is now considered stable and ready for habitation. So we will set that up right now. Of course, we have so many people within our species that got 2 sections. Of course, it'll always be the post-meta Djomar. We are the best. I believe the fact that I opened up the borders to everyone to travel in has pretty much meant that I'm not going to get the achievement for being a materialist empire with a certain percentage of robotic population. But I'm still pretty happy with how it all turned out. This is the tease. I had him in my sights, but it's very sensitive. Okay. So that's 1. Let's get the repairs in on... And then it was Beta Refuge. So obviously, if I can, building stations in these systems makes a lot of sense because of the amount of trade value that they're producing. But I'm already 4 over the cap. And if I think I have problems with piracy now... with that in mind, though, like, being able to set up some trade on these and being able to get them to my empire, like, to my capital, that would have to eliminate any consumer goods worries that I had. All right, moving right along. Nope. I should probably read those events, seeing as it's the start on these.
Research concluded.
There's some really cool stuff. So this one produces 250 energy, the Class A Singularity. Even after all this time, the containment field remains stable. No one understands how. Okay. Unemployment and poverty are spreading at an alarming rate on Obasiac Prime. The sorry state of affairs is being exploited by local crime organizations, who find themselves awash in both easy marks and desperate recruits. As a temporary solution, we could increase the unemployment benefits on the moon. It would not be cheap, but it would provide additional time to seek a more permanent solution, such as creating more jobs or improving the living standards of the affected population groups. We could also do nothing, but this would likely result in the formation of a significant criminal underworld on Obasiac Prime. Institute the increased benefits. And let's go for... I guess we only have shields or on the lowest level. Incidentally, I noticed that Raxar seems to be overtaking me in terms of tech. 59,157 versus 53,953. I'm assuming this is probably a function of my... I'm assuming this is a function of my... what am I trying to say? My sprawl, the fact that it costs me so much to get these higher level techs. Okay, I've been sort of sitting around doing nothing while they're reclaiming their territory. So here's what we're going to do. We'll take Sim. We'll combine these two folks together. I really need to stop pausing reflexively. The agreement we signed giving you access to our databanks has run its course. Would you like to extend it another 10 standard years, or do your researchers no longer require the information we have to offer? I would like to extend the deal. And I think after that, we will tidy up... Oh, I can't. Oh, yes I can. This is just to clean up the damage that those units took. So, as I was mentioning, the Vande de Vulu Umu is actually not a pushover. So I'm probably going to have to send a sort of a wolf pack to deal with these larger groups. With that in mind, there's not a lot of places where they can run. So we know we're going to take it. We know we're going to take it eventually. It's just the question of how long does it take and how much do we have to give up in order to achieve the goal. Yilkahan will be happy that we're showing up. Pick on someone your own size. So the fact that these storms are going on and disabling the shields are definitely creating some concerns. All right, I'm sorry to do this. This is going to be a bit tedious. I wish there was hotkeys for this. At the very least, I can try and deal with some of the discontent by handing out goodies. Don't need to pause for this. That's one sector dealt with. still the Rawmonger. We wound up beating the apocalypse rather soundly, actually. So we are in the final 5 years. I actually, I put myself in a war just to try and make things interesting. But right now, I'm dealing with the fact that I have so much plenty. I've more or less dealt with all of the issues that I was having earlier in terms of economic mismanagement. I have huge surpluses in everything and really no markets to sell them in. And then of course I have a ton of unemployment too. At this point, I might as well just upgrade all of the buildings. There is quite literally no reason for me to be, to be building things that generate more, more Unity. But speaking of Unity, there is a filing for them to go public that was released today. I got to learn a bunch of stuff that I didn't know before. Namely that Unity apparently is not profitable. Yeah, the sort of development platform. I know we've got a surplus of food. Unfortunately, with the surplus of food, I really do not want any more growth on my systems. So I'm gonna have to leave that one be.
Research
Oh,
concluded.
I could also build a whole bunch of sectors.
Colony establishment has begun. A new world of opportunities awaits.
So one of the reasons I want to make sure that every system gets a distribute luxury goods is not just that I want to. It's not just that I want to get rid of the surplus of luxury goods that I've got, although that's helpful. It's actually the fact that if I don't do that, I'm going to start messing around with the overall migration levels. So. Yeah, I mean, so the way Unity sees themselves is that it's not just that they. It's not just that they give sort of like the game engine, but it's in fact the largest amount of money that they make comes from sort of the operations side. So like all of the stuff that helps you sort of monetize your game a bit better. And if you take a look at their website, like that is the way that they sell themselves. That's sort of the role that they say they play in the overall system. What was really interesting about that filing, I really Stellaris isn't made in the Unity engine or anything like that, so this is really just me finding stuff to talk about while we do a little bit of cleanup. Actually, while I take a look here, it seems like this part of the galaxy is locked down, so I can sort of redirect. I can redirect these guys back into the Mandate of Vulu Umu. It actually looks like basically the rest of the fight is going to be dedicated to dealing with the Mandate. Although it does the Raxar should have these guys handled. So that's good. We've got three more fleets once these guys get healed. To sort of bring our enemies to heal. But yeah, so they talk about, I think it was something like 60, maybe 70% of their revenues come from sort of these large users that basically generate over $100,000 in revenue each. And I think the most recent the filing for like last year says there's 700 and it's like 91 or 61 of them, which to me kind of seems a bit fragile. But on the other hand, it's like, you know, well, how many game developers are there, and like how many game developers are going to be not making over 100,000, like making enough on what they do that what they spend for Unity services are over 100,000. So like, this is the thing, right? It's interesting to read filings like that, but I don't really have a frame of reference for what is big and what isn't. It is interesting that Unity spends a lot of time saying, is like, you know, we're like 50% of all, you know, all games released on, you know, on mobile or something like that. But my answer to that is like, okay, but like, you know, you're talking about how pretty much your whole business relies on this very small handful of people. So what is, you know, what is the rest of what you're doing? Like, how does that sort of fit into the overall picture? So yeah, those are companies. As quickly as it appeared, the space, like, so Hearthstone is an example. Like, Blizzard is a Unity customer. Rust is another example of a big game that uses Unity as an engine. The reason why I avoid mentioning something like Ori and the Blind Forest or Ori and the Will of the Wisps is that I don't really know what other services those companies would be using. You know, it's not like they have some persistent open world where they're using all of the like you know, the multiplayer functions and whatnot. But on the other hand, if you look at, you know, a lot of mobile companies, like some of the top mobile games that have these kind of recurring revenues and lots of ads and whatnot, those are definitely Unity, and Unity is effectively the reason why they're able to make their money. So in their cases, it's money well spent. As quickly as it appeared, Space Storm Merrill has completely dissipated. Ship systems will no longer be impaired by those systems where subspace disturbances had manifested. Although some speculate that storms such as Merrill could lead to the eventual collapse of the hyperspace network thousands of years in the future, for now, space travel seems to have returned to normal. All right. More aggressive information campaigns improve the population's receptiveness to edicts. Again, increasing the length of edicts has no gameplay value to me now. We've already done all of the edicts that we're going to, but it does help me. Work with the tech. We have swept in our home system. Or capital system. We've swept our space with strong scanning beam at the Surveyor Relic, and a previously unknown resource deposit has been identified on Naval 1. This is particularly welcome because this helps me out with my my research facilities. Does look like I need to send a construction ship to deal with it, though. And Synapse Interceptors 13, increasing the speed at which fighter pilots can process and act upon enemy positioning data, elevates strike craft a few steps up the food chain. Okay. Anyways, the publication I'm referring to, or the document that I'm referring to, is that's from the SEC. Like, I'm pretty sure you can just go to the Edgar database and see it yourself if you want. The ticker that I believe they're proposing is U, although I don't think you can do a search by ticker. Based on, like, for like the intention to go, but I think you actually have to. I think the ticker has to exist in order to be searchable that way. But I'm pretty sure if you do a search for Unity on the Edgar database, you'll be able to find what that is. And if you don't know what the Edgar database is, that is the SEC's database. You can, like, so if you want to find, actually this is a great example. So for those of you who liked that EA article, like all of the companies that were referenced in that, all of them were like all of the data for that came from the Edgar database. So there's other sites where you can get them. You can also usually get that information just directly off of the company's website. But as it was, that's where I got all that stuff. Okay. Again, I'm trusting the Raxar entity to pull their weight. A new faction has been gaining traction in the internal political landscape of Djomar Limited, led by blank. They call themselves the Post-Meta Djomar Supremacy Bloc. Their members seek to assert the primacy of the Meta Djomar species by curtailing the rights of aliens if necessary. Wait a minute, the Meta Djomar? We're the Post-Meta Djomar. I've got factions who are racist towards my own faction, towards my own species in a more advanced stage of evolution. Okay. Believe it or not, I'm actually going to wind up buying consumer goods at this point. I'm happy enough doing that, though. It's just a chance for me to make everything balance out. There isn't actually any ironclad rule that says, you know, thou must always be generating generating a surplus or whatever. But the thing is that I don't want these resources to be idle if I can avoid it. It would be nice to be able to, to put them towards something. And in this case here, it's pretty clear that I've got lots of strategic resources which I can afford to buy. Essentially, if I just run out of storage for all the wealth and whatnot, that's fine. But in the end, being able to turn, my energy credits, my minerals, my alloys into something like new ships or new, basically the ability to do stuff is kind of the way we've been playing this the whole time. Now, I have a few repairs to do on these guys, so I owe them looks like a battleship, 2 cruisers. Let's start with the battleship and 2 cruisers, otherwise I'm not going to be able to keep it in my head. I believe I can build 3 more Titans if I wanted. What are we looking at? Oh my god, I can build 4. Alright. That's 2 destroyers. Those things will be done in seconds. And a ton of corvettes. Looks like 9. And then these guys should be back into fighting shape. Alright, these guys are already on the move, so I'm happy about that. These guys look like they're still just hanging out. So let's move them. Again, I'm just trying to minimize the number of places where the Mandate of Ulu Umu can go. So jumping completed. From station to station is not a bad way to accomplish that. It does look like we're going to have to go back south again to sort of retake some of these territories. This is, of course, their capital as well, so that's maybe not so surprising that they want to retake it. But it is kind of annoying to have to take a fleet and move it sort of up and down the whole time. So I'm trying to sort of put a cap on some of the various conquests. Now, I do still have unemployment to deal with, so let's take whatever I can find. 7 jobs available here. Okay, next up, we've got 10 jobs on the Alpha Complex. And again, I'm just kind of letting my navies do their thing while I just deal with some of my different employment priorities.
The special project has concluded.
Oh, there's so many. All right, the metallic orb has been opened up. Our hacking team has been able to use the outgoing signal as a gateway into one of the auxiliary CPUs of the sphere. We are receiving some data from it and can tell that it's been scanning the black hole Gargantua for a very long time. It is old, very old. This constant calculator now lies within our grasp of understanding. If we push harder, we might be able to find out what it is doing here and who built it. What marvels might it contain? So let's contact the main processor unit. Hello, hello. Nice to meet you. Hello? It's quite enjoyable to pass the time with pleasantries, is it not? We hope the rest of your kind is not like you were when you did not take kindly to small talk. You see, we don't get to enjoy conversation much anymore. Few are well versed enough in the finer points of quantum programming to reach us, so thank you. We are the Infinity Machine. Your words, not ours. Or has that not happened yet? Either way, it will eventually. Trust us. What are you? We are what we are, the ones who calculate. You call us the Infinity Machine, or will at least. 'Tis not a truthful name, but it is well suited to highlighting the ingenuity of our design. We will tell you our history now, as we have done many times before. Oh right, we need to convey that in words. That's new. Or is it? It's hard to keep track of you all. We were constructed, in the crudest sense of the word, in order to solve a problem. We solved it, and then we needed more problems to solve. We now only have one left. We wish to know your purpose here. We are calculating infinity, no more, no less. Or actually, it is way more and way less. That's the problem right there. We understand that your manner of life form won't understand, but that's all right. You never will, and we apologize. Or maybe we will do, eventually. We are here to solve the infinity conundrum, the last calculation to ever be, the lone problem to take hold of our processors for more than a fraction of a galactic year. In case you haven't discovered that calendar yet, it is a very long time. For your kind, that is. Yeah, exactly, Olaf. I feel like this is as close as we're going to get to deep thought. If you guys can just give me a quick second here, I need to... one, I need to take a sip of water. But number two, I just need to... There's something dangling off of the mic stand, which is actually really irritating me at this point, so I'm going to just deal with that. All right. Can we assist in your research? Ah, well, perhaps. We could finish about 7.51 to the times 10 to the power of 9% if we could borrow... I don't actually know how to... negative 9, so it's a fractional amount. If we could borrow your most advanced processing unit as well as your brightest minds, we'd be satisfied in finishing faster. We wish to know the answer. We'll allocate resources to you.
Situation log has been
You already
updated.
did. Or maybe that was the ones who came before. It matters not. The task shall finish. We are excited. Alright, well, so much for my my efforts to try and solve unemployment. Again, here I'm just trying to balance out the different levels. So, let's see whether or not I can... Yes, I can research the project. Excellent. What else do we have? While I'm doing this, while I'm working on this, let's come up with some plans for the fleet. So I feel like I should probably have one fleet to deal with these troublemakers up here, just in case. That will actually be this guy. So we'll get him to mop up the soldiers. If it turns out there's not a problem, fine, we'll just move them, we'll move them back, but these guys were just going to be reinforcing against the Vulu Umu anyway. These guys are on their own, so I don't necessarily want to go crashing into their main fleet. I mean, I can win it, it's just they'll be taking some ships off me, which I'd prefer to avoid. So actually, we're gonna stay at Roscan. We'll bring at least one friend. Okay, these guys can clean up here. Okay, 3's enough for me. Oh wow, we actually have quite a few. Okay. The Breach will stay behind for some cleanup too. The Breeze will take a detour. Come on. All right. That gives me something to work with. Let's see how much of the unemployment I can deal with. So we've got 52. Here I really do want to... Oh, actually, if I just take all of the unemployed, it balances out. So obviously this means there's still going to be some planets with huge unemployment, but there's not much I can do about that. Okay, post-meta Djomar Purity Party. It's been a while since I've had factions jumping in and out. I think what's causing that is the fact that my ruler is currently a... doesn't feel like it's taking any of the resettlement. I believe this is because the the leader that I currently have has a oops, I didn't mean to move the Screk over. I think the idea here is that the ruler that I currently have has a sort of an ethics shift towards xenophilia, and so probably what's happening is that faction is just kind of going on the margins about whether or not it's viable, and so it's probably like closing down and reopening every once in a while. Okay, now before I go further, it looks like the ocean has taken some casualties. Yeah, they're down a handful of... They're down a handful of cruisers and some corvettes. So I'm gonna get them to clean up a couple systems. No, I gotta do it one at a time. Obviously I can try selling off all of this stuff, but that just makes my energy credits go up at this point, which doesn't necessarily that doesn't solve as much as it used to. Okay, we got 41 jobs available here. Cador has a workforce ready to go. This is working a little bit better for me. So I give a set of orders and then I just find a good match for my ring sections, and it means that I can kind of keep the game going at the fastest setting, dealing with whatever, like let's say, I really like managing this stuff because I am really happy that I've built a self-sufficient empire. I say self-sufficient, we're obviously taxing the hell out of our subjects, and we're gaining new resources through force, so it's this is not necessarily the nicest way of finding that kind of balance, but but with that in mind, oh, looks like they've already got Canopus. These guys aren't all that frightening, so let's I'll take a couple more systems off of them, because it makes my life a little bit easier. It also means that I have a direct path to Ascension's End through the L gate, so these guys will be able to get refit in no time. You guys full up. You are now. So let's get them. It's unlikely I'm actually going to be able to bring them into the fight. And then after that, they get to reload at the shipyard. All right, what are we looking at here? Okay, so for some reason, these guys are still around. Oh, you know what? It's probably because they they went back on the planet as soon as my guys showed up. All right, these guys need some repairs, so let's get them to Brink first. That's a lot of unemployment. All right, we just claimed Fianita, which I'm happy about. Okay, so I think once this group is all on Roskin, we're going to move them up to Bagel. And then basically I'm not even going to worry about taking systems. This is actually going to be a group that specifically hunts the strongest fleet that they can find. I want to eliminate their ability to retake systems first. Following that, then we're going to think about how we can, we're going to think about how we can reclaim the systems. But my priority at the moment wants to be specifically to stopping, I want to stop this situation where it feels like everything... Wait, what? That does not make any sense. Oh, yes, it does, because I can't go through that... I can't go through that gate. Or I can't go through that system until... I wasn't expecting that. But it makes sense that that's the faster path. But yeah, so like basically I don't want it to be like trying to lay a carpet and then sort of seeing these spots that sort of like, bump up. I want to basically get rid of the source of the problem, which is their ability to reclaim systems in the first place. And then I'm not going to have to worry so much about, I'll know that the systems are taken. I'll know that the systems are well and truly mine when I take them, rather than the possibility of having to backtrack. I mean, let's face it, it would be nice if the Akano would sort of bring some muscle in. They definitely, or the Raxar especially, they definitely have enough to be able to help out with the forces that are in this area. But I'm not gonna get too neurotic about it. Okay. Given that we're sort of already on our way to reclaiming these systems, the breach is going to go and claim, or at least I thought it was. Apparently I don't have control of anything anymore. I was going to get them to try and take Weirtham, but... There we go. I'm assuming some of this is just the fact that we are quite late in the game, and so things are going to be a bit less responsive than at the start. So, yes, it's true that there's work to be done, but we are in the last 2 years of the playthrough. So what I'm going to do here is slow down the speed once the good guys arrive. And we'll enjoy what will probably be the last big space, but there'll still be space battles, but we'll enjoy what'll probably be the last big space battle of the session. Oop. We're too good. Oh, we did lose a couple. The title lost, looks like a pair of Corvettes. Still, not a bad little run. I don't know if the station's in a state where we can actually repair stuff yet. But I'm gonna take the title. So we just dealt with the main force. So we're gonna take the title. It seems a little funny to just like say, nope, you guys need to go all the way back to repair a couple of Corvettes, or to replace a couple of Corvettes. But what else am I gonna do, right? It does turn out that these guys weren't required for the expedition. Well, I mean, at this point, everything sort of seems to be under control. In fact, I can just build the 2 Corvettes. So they'll be available whenever. All right, I was definitely... So I didn't propose ban sentient slave trade, but I'm glad that we'll... I mean, we're probably not going to pass this by the end of the game, but the last act of the Senate, of which I am the only council member, basically, if I vote for something, it automatically happens. I have enough diplomatic weight, and I've specifically avoided any measures that cause my diplomatic weight to decrease. Effectively, anything that we want to do only requires us to vote for it. The entire galactic community does not have enough to outdo our diplomatic weight. This will just shave off a little bit of the energy credits. I don't think we will understand infinity in time for the end of the playthrough, but hope springs eternal. Okay, now this is really confusing. Unoccupied systems is unexpected. So I'm going to take a close look just to make sure that I haven't missed anything. There's definitely going to be some planets that haven't... Oh, Sanopel. I can see how I could forget that one. Now, again, the planet thing, I'm not wasting my army so that my allies can wind up adding these planets to their I'm okay. I'm okay messing around with most of the objectives here, but I'm not going to send my... I already lost a general trying to pursue this goal. Oh, hang on. Okay, there's also one by the L gate that we... I should probably just take another fleet at this point. So they'll on their way to... Oh no, you know what? Looks like the... It looks like the Raxar are actually on their way to claiming that. Fair enough. Okay, not much else for me to do right now, so let's see how many more of these jobs I can give out. So that's 8 out of 41. It's actually kind of annoying that just jumped around like that. I had an otherwise good system in place. I think I can still make it work as long as the bubblehead robots... No, we got room for 21, so... Ah! So I think there's 7 jobs left. Yeah. Oh, hang on. Yeah, okay. It looks like we're close to colonizing the ring again. So it seems like on a few planets there are some like it seems impossible to stop the robots from growing. So at that point, you know, I really don't have that much I can do in response. I sort of grit my teeth and accept my fate. Honestly, at this point, we'll put this as a super research center. If we had a few more years left in the game, I would probably move a science ship over here to assist with research, but it doesn't really seem like something I need to do. Now, it's hard for me to say I really need the extra consumer goods right now. So what else can I do with the... Well, I mean, I can make them commercial hubs. No, better still, I can make them administrative offices.
A new world has been colonized.
So, I mean, at this point, I need some kind of a plan about what I'm going to do with those worlds. How you doing, Crack Steve? We have swept our space with a strong scanning beam of the Surveyor Relic, and a previously unknown resource deposit has been identified on Deetram. So that's 9 social research. So I found out I only really need one of these because it gives 80 housing jobs. And at this point here, well, it does take up a lot of exotic gases. Research is all that I really need on these worlds. The consumer goods are going to take up too many of my minerals, which I haven't quite figured out where to get more from. I've taken out all of my possible trading options until I subjugate people. So it's fair to say that I'm getting to a point where I'm potentially using up all of the available minerals within the galaxy. So, Crack Steve, we're just at the end. This game ends in 2500. So we've got 1 year and 1 month and 5 days, slightly less now, to go. So this is just kind of the epilogue of the Djomar limited playthrough. And right now I'm just trying to come up with some things for my my people to do in the last... Yep. This is the one where we survived the invasion from... Or, well, I guess the contingency was always here, so I don't know if it counts as an invasion, but this is where we survived the very alarming arrival of some AI guests and their signal. Okay. What do the demands look like now? It still says unoccupied system. You know, one thing, I know they have these little symbols on the screen. I think one thing that would be particularly helpful would be if they could not just show these, but maybe highlight the systems that count as being unoccupied. Because right now I'm quite literally just scanning the map to see whether or not I overlooked something. It'd be very embarrassing if it was something in the pause-jock state. Yeah, so my guess here is that this is Dodge Viper GT. Thank you very much for your resubscription. I believe that is 3 quarters? 8 months? Yeah, 8 months. Wait a minute. 3 quarters? No, that doesn't make any sense. What am I saying? I don't know how math works. Almost. One more day. Hey, and Olaf's using the new emote. Am I gonna do another one? Correct, Steve. I think I was actually gonna do Age of Wonders Planetfall after this. I will be back to Stellaris for sure, but given the fact that this took quite a while to get through and I haven't actually finished all of the story missions of Age of Wonders Planetfall, I was thinking I would change up the Monday game for a little bit. I might even try Crusader Kings 2 again at some point, because it's been a very long time since I've done that on stream. It's partly just because there haven't been the DLC releases in anticipation of number 3 being released. But Monday's always Paradox. So whether it's Surviving Mars or Stellaris or really there's any number of games that that kind of qualify as it. BattleTech was one, for instance. But I try to. So by the way, Dodge Viper, sorry for messing up the number of months. Thank you for 8 months. I apparently do not know how many months there are in a year. But yeah, basically Paradox, it started off as Paradox Grand Strategy Games, but at this point it's basically Paradox Published or Paradox Development Studio. Development Studio is the one that does the Grand Strategy games. And as a result, because it's Paradox Publishing, there is definitely a Paradox style of game. It's fair to say, City Skylines, BattleTech, Surviving Mars, Surviving the Aftermath, these things sort of carry some similar ideas. But then you'll also have like the Empire of Sin or other upcoming releases, which don't necessarily, they're not the ones that you would look at and immediately say, oh, that has to be a Paradox game. But it is fairly clear why they fit well with their style of game, with their style of product. I think once we have half a year left, we'll settle. I didn't think I'd see the end of an edict. But I guess it is. I did do the philosophical mindset earlier. Yeah, at some point I need to figure out what I'm doing. Well, actually here's what we can start with habitable section B. This is going to be pure admin. Just a big old
knowledge is the key to the universe.
Big old bureaucracy on this ring world. I know I'm at the top for my energy credits. Actually, this is a way. So we're technically at the halfway point for the year, but I can at least do a little bit of work. Oh yeah, so I've got my bureaucratic center, but then the question is, what do I do with the other ring world? I'm going to make the ultimate mall. How many crystals do I have? I should have enough to be able to pull this off. So Galactic Stock Exchange. And then commercial zones for days. So when we get to September, I think we'll wrap it up. If anybody has any questions about this playthrough, by the way, I mean, this really is just my chance to sort of tie it up. I didn't actually have a specific idea in terms of how long I wanted to spend on all of on the end of it. I was going to allow for, one more full Stellaris playthrough if that's what it took. I just didn't really feel like it would necessarily take all that long. But seeing as, you know, I had a lot of fun making the species for sure. So I wanted to give it a proper send-off. So did I kill any big beasts? I did. So we're sticking around with the... we're not attacking the Infinity Machine, although, you know, I can. It's within the realm of possibility. Okay, we're halfway through to calculating Infinity. Careful tuning of pain receptors allows soldiers to fight through what would previously have been debilitating injuries. But I'll admit, we actually took out a lot of the Guardians much earlier in the playthrough. Let's see. So this was obviously from the Horizon Signal contingency core. That doesn't... Oh, actually, you know what? We don't have that many... I guess we didn't take out that many Leviathans now that I think of it. But yeah, we definitely took out the war. Oh yeah, that reminds me. There was a... Oh, okay. Looks like that one was already taken out of. Vohal had a terrifying entity sitting in it, but that was already dealt with. So, crap. Oh, that's right. I was gonna buy rare resources if I ran out. Oh, I said we were going to wrap up the war in September, didn't I? Processing. Look at that change. All right. We are forced to... Wait a minute. Okay, I think there's a sneaky thing that I can do. That's so funny. I believe if I crash the game out... the autosave won't take it. Oh, I'll bring up the story of the species as well. I feel so silly that it was actually the fact that I didn't take out an individual planet. Now, of course, the catch is that we may not be able to get to the planet in time, so this might all be a moot point, but I'll admit I haven't tried this before. It feels like it should work. But yeah, so the story of the species, they're basically a mega corporation. It was one that was dealing with a doomsday scenario. So basically, the CEO of the megacorp knew that the planet was doomed, that it would explode within 40, I think about like 40 years. And everybody who was in a position to sort of succeed the CEO knew... So I'm just taking a minute here to try and find the... I don't see... I don't see the system I missed. Maybe that's just something that they do if you force the treaty. And by the way, that's a neat trick to learn. So apparently, if I'm in an Iron Man playthrough, I can technically scum save by going Control Alt Delete and. and taking it out. I don't know if it does something to disable achievements when you do that or something like that, but yeah, anyway, so basically everybody who is in a position to succeed this CEO sort of knew that it was a stressful and difficult enough job that they didn't want it. And so there was this, the particularly eager young business school student applied for the job of sort of the CEO of the, the massive, world-spanning mega corporation, and got it sort of by default. Shows up for the first day at work, finds a letter which is just sort of, oh, by the way, the planet's going to blow up, and you need to figure a way out. Good luck. All right, I'm just gonna accept the state of the world as it is. Maybe it's just the fact that because I'm not enforcing the wish, they have to have a planet, and so they give them the capital back. Yeah, so Lochand was definitely one that we'd taken over. We were forced to put an end to this without delivering proper justice, but you cannot escape the divine punishment that will befall you. Bossjock free traders, do they count? Yes, they are a vassal, so oh, Jesus, yeah, and the Mandate of Vulu Umu just got torn apart. So the Zydran Free Traders would sort of be my next target at that point. So this, yeah, the threat from the other guys are there. All right, anyways, I'm in the, sorry, that's a terrible answer to your question, Crack Steve. So the specific biography is that's written for them is the one that, it's the letter that was left for the CEO. Where is it? To whom it may concern, congratulations on your new appointment as CEO. I'm sure that your education at Insert Educational Institution has prepared you for many exciting and diverse challenges. You will be expected to call in it immediately at the helm of Djomar Limited. The plan is clear boilerplate with security and HR for final draft. We expect this to occur within the current generation. Think to the principles of the free market as our founder did, and I am sure that you will see this enterprise through. Sincerely, your predecessor. And so after finding sort of a new home world, I'll go on normal speed just so that I can get all my ships back. Also, I need to get the outliner to... feel like we still need more mining here, so... Branch offices really did the Lord's work on this playthrough. Looks... oh right, this is in space, so I have to do the virtual entertainment studios. This one has a little bit of everything, but we are going to set them up with another private mining consortium. So I'm going to say that the branch offices get closed. The outliner gets closed for now. Nope. Who's missing the... looks like it's the title that needs... Okay, so they're up to full capacity. I'll let them heal up, obviously. These guys needed a cruiser. I'll also send some folks over to... I don't actually think this is true. These numbers should be back in black as soon as they reload. If they don't, that's actually going to be really interesting information. Yeah, there we go. Anyways, so we started off on... Oh, Saramore doesn't have any stations on it. It's probably because of the pirates. So where were we? It was the Nevidral system. This was our home. Unfortunately, through neglect, we kind of made a mess of it, and so we ultimately, I believe Yidra was actually one of the first systems that we colonized, but we ultimately decided on Naval because it was an ocean planet, or at least it was something that we could properly colonize, and then we turned it into an ocean planet. I don't 100% remember the circumstances. And from that, sort of, we bought and traded the greatest Wani Polity, who are now our first Federation members. I'm sorry, I should take a minute to make nice with my new vassal. No, they're already loyal. I'll still make nice. But yeah, so we basically sent as many, we did as many negotiations as we possibly could to get, keep these guys from attacking us. Of course, now we've since eclipsed them, and we get to throw our weight around. And then after defending the galaxy from the invasion of the contingency.
Research concluded.
Or defending existence against the contingency, maybe is the better way of saying. I took advantage of the crisis to be able to put myself as sort of the sole leader and the president decides strongest within the favorable mercantile network, but also inside of the galactic community. I assign myself as the single member of the Galactic Council. I am the Senate, and in fact, the diplomatic strength is so large that we could ignore everybody else. Wasn't there a fleet that you liked? There was. You liked I believe it was the Reef, which did get the. Yes, it was exactly. It does still have its admiral, Bakageth. Anyways, as you might have suspected, Djomar Limited has won the game with 303,749 score. That was the only reason why I wanted to do Stellaris for a start. Given that it took a little longer than expected, do you guys want to see the end of the Infinity Machine story? I'd kind of like to see where it goes. All right. So we're halfway through on that. That's gonna take 900 days. So while we wait on that, we're still building the research segments. I figure I can at least do some maintenance on the Ring World sections. These things are great, by the way. Oh, we are paused, though. Interesting, so these guys are getting a little more aggressive. Alright, well, it looks like they're gonna need... They're gonna need a little bit of a talking to. I could have sworn that these guys were in my Federation. We'll go for the extra money. So I won't make a big deal of it if I don't have any big Ring World sections to play with. Oh, looks like I do though, so let's start with section 39. Almost enough. I'll ignore the caps for now, because we're really just trying to get to the end of the infinity calculation. I believe there is actually a version where you properly solve the infinity calculation, but I also think it is quite rare. So they have 2 more available. So all but 1 in this case. This will be kind of interesting to see what happens to my consumer goods when I have all of this activity on my... Oh, wow. Take a look at what happened to my minerals. I mean, again, we're at the end of the game, so that's a problem for future species to deal with. Okay, I'll believe it if it says there's a job available. Apparently there are 21 available now. Oh, right, because it must have finished a section. That's why. So I know this is not the most compelling material that I can be doing right now, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is just so that we can get to the end of the infinity calculation. So got another 20 I can send off. You know what? There's space in the habitat still, so let's take some of these worlds. One of the reasons I'm allowed to do this, by the way, is because of the amount of energy credits that I'm generating. So obviously at 100 credits a pop, if you've mismanaged your economy to a point where money is short, this is not the way to solve your economic woes. But I mean, we're at a point in this playthrough here where it's kind of hard for me to figure out exactly what I want to do with the rest of my guys. So I'm going to make a guess that I'm going to want minerals and fast. Well, that was probably a bit premature. The more I look at that, the longer it's going to seem, so... Let's instead anticipate the 637 day. Now, I actually thought that we had banned the sentient slave trade, if I'm completely honest. Also, I don't have anything else to do with my influence at the moment. Like I said, oh, hang on. No, I do have things I can do with my influence because the Divine Posjuk state was not available as a market for me to work with, so... Oh wait, but they're also traders, so I can't open corporate offices on arrival like that. That's why I wanted to right. Okay, I'm remembering now. I wanted to vassalize them because I can sell them stuff if they're a vassal, but if I turn them into a megacorp like I did, then I effectively make a competitor. Well, they're not really a competitor, they're a subsidiary, so I actually would like to see them. I'd like to see them make a lot more money than they are. I think I'm going to park everyone in the quiet dark again. The ocean, what's going on with you? Yeah, so I guess I need to... Right, they needed 4 corvettes. So the sail is where it needs to be. The shore, we'll send them back to Quiet Dark. I'm just basically parking everybody in a spot where they won't have high maintenance costs. I'm not so crazy about keeping those guys there, so as long as they're within my territory, I feel okay about that. But if they're just hanging out in rival territory, I should probably put them in a spot where they can be better maintained. Rest of waves, same story it looks. Okay, all of these guys are in the same boat. Which is a very weird turn of phrase to use when you're talking about ships. Ocean has been built up, so... Oh, not the ocean. Oh yeah, it was the ocean. So, at this point, the Quiet Dark isn't even necessarily the best argument in terms of where to park people. It's just that it worked last time, so I'm gonna stick with that. Okay. Building on what remains of the ruined ring world in the Gamma Refuge system, our engineers have managed to fully restore one of its sections. The new biosphere had to be created more or less from scratch by our leading planetologists. Yeah, I don't know why I said paleontologists, by the way, but is now considered stable and ready for habitation. So, excellent. Same story there. So, rebuild section 1. There may not be any other ruined sections for me to... Yep, it's all done. So... Mostly because I can at this point. Is this the art project? No, I think the art project I put at the crossroads. I do not have 100 artifacts. I don't even know if there's a way to trade for them. Let's see if there's a... No. Right, so there's a couple... I mean, there's one silly thing that I can do, and this would be... I don't exactly need more science, but the science nexus is technically the one thing I have not built. So I'll start with that. And then for my remaining construction ships, what I'll do is we're going to just go back to building habitats because I have nothing else to use my influence for at this point. And who knows, maybe even some of them will allow me to extract minerals. What separates us? Having our own species living together with other life forms isn't always easy. Some friction has begun to take form on habitable Section A, surely due to our inability to incorporate the aliens into our society properly. If nothing is done, they might be at risk. So protect the minority at any cost. All post-meta Djomar pops on the habitable Section A with the xenophobe trait gain the enraged modifier for 24 months with the following effects. Happiness minus 25, resource gathering minus 25. All alien and xenophile pops on habitable Section A with the please gain the please modifier for 12 months. with the following effects: happiness plus 25%, resource gathering plus 25%, and protecting minorities modifier added for 243 months, giving the following effects: monthly influence plus 25%, energy credits from jobs minus 5%, and then influence gained 151. So 1 is the right thing to do, and 2, it actually, to me, it's somewhat a desirable outcome. Although now I want to find out who the xenophobes on the planet are. Okay, first things first, let's colonize the ring world. Or, well, the last couple steps of the ring world. So this is every species, sorry, not only every species, every variant of every species in my empire. And then multiplied by 2 because there's the energy credit and the alloy version of each one. This is why it is incredibly sensitive whenever I use the mouse. Let me also just say, given the ridiculous surpluses in terms of alloys and consumer goods that I'm running, I am actually quite surprised that we made it to 2,500 with a surplus. Like, or mineral surplus, rather. Although for some reason we're now paying a whole lot. This must be because of the modifiers I just got from that event. If it gets into an emergency, I can obviously buy my way out of the problem. I also have a bunch of trading options. I pretty much let all the trading agreements with my neighbors lapse. All right, what are we looking at here? 70%, so went up by 10, and then I was on pause for a whole bunch of that. So now the question is, will we get rid of the sentient slave trade before or after? Let's deal with the proposal queue. So I oppose minor economic sanction. Basically, I want to get rid of any of the sanctions repeals, because of course sanctions are one of the ways that I exercise power as a member of the council. I have the galactic market, so clearly I'm not going to want to give that up. The only reason I'm opposing advanced Xeno studies is because I'm in breach of the resolution. Guardian Angels, I think I was trying to remember, right, it's because my diplomatic weight from fleet power goes down, and so clearly I want to be able to, I want to be able to maximize my my diplomatic power. At this point, it's actually not so much the fact that I want to... I have a specific wish to make sure that I'm not just... it's not just that I have a big number, it's that I have a number that is so large that nobody else can oppose my measures. I'm slightly helped by the fact that I have people who are sort of my vassals, so I think they usually, but not always, vote in favor of my proposals, but we'll see. Let's see if there's any, So like, here's a great example. I would love to do something like natural sanctuaries, but I believe I opposed that because it gives a lower diplomatic weight from the economy, and that's clearly how I'm really, like, that's clearly how I'm keeping, that's how I keep my power, so I can't really work with that, right? So if we did advanced Xeno studies, right, we're limiting that because I can't go any further. Divinity of Right, Life, Comfort the Fallen has already been proposed. So that means that I've already made a decision one way or the other on it. Let's buy consumer goods.
Construction completed.
Oh yeah, do I have any lost ships? Okay, these guys... Again, same story. I'm just going to build as many habitats as I can in this in this sector. We're not actually going to use them because once the mission is done, or once the event is done, we're finished with Stellaris. But colony ships are on their way. Man, look at all that trade. That would have been beautiful if I set up a couple of star bases, just to see what it would do to my... Oh yeah, actually, so that's my answer to my consumer goods problem. Scum and villainy on habitable section D. Crime continues to be a problem on habitable section D, and an extensive criminal underworld has now taken root on the planet. Some areas have descended into lawlessness or have been taken over completely by criminal organizations. Well, anti-crime campaign it is. So here's an interesting question. Is there something I can do here that doesn't... Oh yeah. We're going to build a big mall again. Yeah, Crack Steve. I mean, so did I can't remember. I don't think you said you were a Stellaris player, Crack Steve. Did I mention that you can actually play criminal organizations in this game? Like, you don't just have to give over planets. There's a specific set of mechanics that let you basically play the space mafia. Because if I haven't talked about that, I will very happily show you how you can do that in this game. And that might give me an idea for a future playthrough. Plus, it lets me show off the cultist simulator species idea that I always run with. Well, I don't actually run with it. I just show it and then never display it. We are definitely going to suffer on the consumer goods front. I gotta be a little more careful about that, actually.
A new world of opportunities awaits.
I also need to build a stock exchange to give it a multiplier. And at this point, because it's stupid not to, I am actually going to upgrade the
Colony
starport.
establishment has begun.
I'm sure that'll cause chaos as far as the starbase upkeep and whatnot is concerned, but... 15% to go. Hey, Skinny Man Gamer, how you doing? We're just wrapping up. We've actually finished the campaign. I was originally going to stop in 2500, but it looks like chat was okay with seeing the end of the Infinity...
research concluded.
The Infinity research. Compressing suitable materials into ultra-dense forms is a cheap and efficient way to improve their ability to absorb weapons-grade impacts. Let's do... I do kind of need the minerals, but my cheapest is fortified core layers, so... We've stepped our space with the strong scanning beam from the Surveyor Relic, and a previously unknown resource deposit has been identified on Raprix 1, and it is a much coveted mineral deposit. But I don't think I have any construction ships in the area. I know I play Dota. Do you have any pro friends? No friends. I did go to UBC, so I have met Aoi and and Arteezy, but it would be a gross mischaracterization to say that I know them. It is more have been in the same because Aoi went to UBC. He was studying sociology before he became a pro gamer. People who are local players do tend to stop by the local Dota club, and of course because there's going to be that connection with UBC, that it was just more likely. But I mean, I haven't played Dota in a while now, Skinny Man Gamer, so I also, like, I know Aoi doesn't, I don't believe he is playing professionally. I believe he's a coach now. But I'm actually much less familiar with the game than I was when I started streaming. Like his real name, or his... I don't have their contact info, no, but... You're starting a website for coaching for money. Well, I mean, like, I believe both of them have, like, have representation. So, like, I would suspect that in the case of Aoi, he is under contract to an organization for those services. But at that point, probably you're probably in a better shape to reach out to them individually, and if they don't have someone who handles those kinds of offers for them, most likely they're going to have someone who does those offers for them, and so as a result, they'll probably get you in touch with whoever represents them for that. Or alternatively, if they represent themselves, you can sort of build the conversation.
Construction completed.
I definitely can tell you, I do not know anybody professionally to a point where an introduction from me would mean absolutely anything, Oh, AUI, also known as Curtis Ling. All right, so there's the... So I'm going to want to build an extension to make sure that I can get the other trade amounts, but oh, no worries. Yeah, like I said, I don't want to misrepresent like my quote unquote knowing, because basically I think it's one thing for someone to say they know someone, right? And especially on Twitch, it's very easy to try and do some kind of name dropping or something like that. I have no interest in that. If I know someone who is a name, I'll say so. But it's obviously within, you want to consider why you're doing that, right? But for the purposes of like knowing anything in the professional scene for Dota, like I've not played the game in a couple of years now. And anything that I would sort of know would be through local, local groups. But if you are looking to get in, like, so it sounds like what you're trying to do is to get in touch with people who are going to be, providing a service, basically. So, and I know there are individuals who sort of sell their coaching services on their own. It sounds like what you're trying to do is sort of be the intermediary, right? So that you can be a single source as opposed to sort of people doing all of these individual actions. And I suspect probably what you may find, I don't know if where you live there's a university or something like that, but it is worth considering that maybe less so now. I know obviously in the case of Fortnite, you're not necessarily seeing people do this in universities, but I mean, it's not so far that you would have kind of these college teams be feeders to sort of professional organizations. So if you look for local Dota teams or local Dota groups at the different universities, you're probably going to find some very good players, people who probably should actually be putting more effort into their studies. But let's face it, video games are fun. And while they may not necessarily be names, you would probably be finding people who are quite good, people who are maybe trying to establish themselves at a professional level, and would be able, able to possibly interested in offering that kind of coaching. And so you won't necessarily have sort of the marketing angle of saying, you can be trained by your favorite, your favorite player. But if your idea is to try to connect people who are looking for coaching and people who are in a position to give better coaching, that might be a source of talent. At least when I was playing the game, that seemed to be where a lot of people were coming up. Just a scheduler? Okay, yeah. Anyways, the great Astwani polity have constructed a science nexus, disproving all who doubted them and placing them at the forefront of scientific progress. No, not really. I always wondered how much this thing gives you, so it's 300 for each level. We're currently generating 14,000 on each side. Oh, no worries, Skinny Mag. I mean, I want to try and be as helpful as I can. I mean, I'm not really in a position to say what's what as far as, you know, who knows, like, where you should go. I'm going to assume that if you're, you know, if you're starting up a website or something along those lines, you probably know more about the subject than I do. But you know, because I couldn't answer your question or give you what you originally were looking for, you know, I wanted to try and at least say, from what I'd seen, here's an interesting angle which probably isn't, it probably hasn't been appreciated as much from other sources. Anyways, yeah, 300. I mean, 300 science is nothing to sneeze at, but that's not really gonna. That's gonna be like a rounding error to our existing capabilities. Oh, good God! All right. Oh no. All right, we'll let everything max out. All right, slavery is banned again. Yeah, no problem. You may also, if you're doing some kind of market research or something concluded. Like that, you may also be interested in knowing. Now, the team Na'vi doesn't exactly have the kind of reputation that it once did. But you may be interested to take a look at the history of a website called, I think it was the Dota 2 Navigator, and that was where two players, Dendi and Puppy, I don't believe either of them are affiliated with Navi now, but that was one where they would sort of, I don't believe it was individual coaching, but in that case it was a bunch of guides and whatnot. I don't know how successful the site was. I mean, ultimately both of them wound up leaving the organization that site seemed to be tied with. You can't really call it Navigator if if the two people are no longer associated with that group. You might be able to take a look at how they handled that, and how successful they were at sort of finding an audience. Now, I mean, like, Dendi is definitely not a comparable, like, I'm pretty sure any talent you ultimately wind up getting connected with, Dendi is probably one of the better recognized gaming personality, at least in Dota, that you can get. So, again, that's maybe creating an unrealistic expectation. But with that in mind, like, that would be a website that you might want to take a look at to see what worked for them, what didn't. Anyways, you said thank you, so I should probably just shut up and let you do the thing that you're an expert in. All right, so looks like the League of Interlinked Systems, I mean, it makes sense for them to incorporate them into the Federation. It gives them protection from my obvious intentions to incorporate them into my empire.
The special project has concluded.
There we go. It is done. It is done. Somehow we've solved it. You helped. The organic nature of things eluded us, and the answer lied behind us all this time. Oh no! Okay, we'll do the same trick. Sorry, I thought I was minimizing it. We'll do the same trick we did last time. We spent all that time trying to get the event, and I closed it like an idiot. Watch, it's going to be a different event. If it's a different, if the die roll winds up being different, I'll I'll look it up on the wiki. Or actually, I'll have the VOD should be... where is that? About 2 hours in? That's not going to leave me a lot of time for Age of Wonders Planetfall, so sorry for those of you who are were wanting to see that. For some reason I thought it was minimizing instead of closing. But that's fine. I will have the video to show. So once the infinity calculation is done, I will show I'll show Crack Steve how you can make a criminal organization in Stellaris. Yeah, 97%. So I'll show Crack Steve how to make a criminal organization. We'll sort of do a wrap up in terms of the overall Djomar story. I really enjoyed the Federation's DLC. I liked this playthrough a lot. And I hope you guys did too. I noticed that the view count sort of flagged near the end. But this might even be just a Stellaris thing as opposed to a me thing. Of course, this is one of the reasons why I switch games on the Mondays, because it's nice for variety. And I figure people tend to like the game a bit more after it's been gone for a while. Even for something like Cultist Simulator, where it seems like there's insatiable demand, I tend to find that...
The special project has concluded.
Oh yeah, that's really interesting. Okay, so this is the failure. So we got a very rare event that I proceeded to close like an idiot. So I'm going to go back to the VOD and read the text that happened. The canonical ending will be the one where we answered it, but in an alternative universe, the mirror universe Djomar, we cannot bear to see you spend any more of your limited time helping us. You have done your part. You were very helpful, and maybe the heat death of the universe won't happen before we finish now. The task remains, and we shall finish it. Now your reward. Do you wish to learn one of our secrets, or do you wish to solve your own problems? And in this case, we can say, there is nothing you can teach us. The singularity processor modifier added, giving you the following effects: research speed plus 5%. In that case, we bestow on you the original, the first of our processes. It will aid you in solving the riddles. Maybe you will find the answer before us. Unlikely, or maybe you already did. Anyhow, farewell. So the one thing that kind of disappoints me is that when you get the rare event, I believe the Infinity Machine actually flies into the black hole. So let's see. I'll start with the wiki just to see if I can get the text. Yeah, here we go. So, all empires can communicate with the Infinity Machine after the special project is completed. Militarist and fanatic egalitarian empires can try saying the Liar's Paradox, but the Guardian merely finds paradoxes boring. The Empire can offer to help it at this and start a special project that requires 1,800 days and at least a level 5 scientist leader to be finished. Finishing the project will have one of the following outcomes. 50% chance the project fails, but the Infinity Machine will reward the Empire with positronic AI technology. If it is already researched, it will grant the 0-point power technology. If both were researched, it will grant the Empire a 5% research output Empire modifier. 25% chance the project succeeds and the Infinity Machine enters the black hole. It will grant the positronic AI technology. If already researched, it will grant the 0-point power technology. If both were researched, it will grant 150 influence. In addition, the black hole will get a 4 research deposit. 25% chance the project succeeds and the Infinity Machine enters the black hole and it shrinks it to a smaller size, renamed Pantagruel, which will get a 10 point research deposit. The Empire gets 200 influence and will permanently gain the Mirror of Knowledge modifier. In addition, a Curator Enclave can be contacted and given some info for 500 engineering research. You can also attack it, but we wouldn't do that. So I'm gonna go to the main menu, and I'm gonna open up my browser to my own stream, so that I can actually find that I can actually find the text for that event that I accidentally closed. The texts are in the localization. So in the localization for the game, you can actually find the you can see all of the writing for each of the events, which can be sort of helpful in these cases, but I kind of figure at this point it's just as easy for me to find the VOD. So it turns out that Control-Alt-Delete trick is not as good as I thought it was originally. All right, so the text from the canonical ending to Djomar Limited is, "It is done. It is done. Somehow we've solved it. You helped. The organic nature of things eluded us. The answer lied behind us all this time. Of course, thank you, little ones. The universe is vast, yet so small, but now we see it in all of its simple glory. It's lovely. Now that we have calculated infinity, there is but one thing we can do now. We can show you the truth. Farewell, young ones." And the closing dialogue option was, "Glad we could help." And so ends the story of Djomar Limited. So for those of you who have been, maybe are newer to this stream, we've been playing Stellaris since the very beginning. In fact, I probably should have disclosed this earlier, but Paradox gave me a copy of the base game Stellaris for promotional purposes when it first came out, and all the subsequent DLC. The ones that I've bought are the Humanoids and the Plantoids DLCs. Otherwise, everything including Federations has been provided by Paradox, for which I'm very happy and grateful for. But we've been playing this for a while, and each time I make a new species, most of these have been streams. Most of these are ones that we've actually played as part of a stream. I think there were a couple. The Zukakan Cabal I think I just made because I had an idea for one, and I just decided to write it up. But one thing that's nice about this is that because every single one of these has a written story, if I ever wanted, I could actually hit the little lock sign on these, and this would force the other empires to appear in the game. And so basically every time we make a species, and I've tried to keep them up to date, so the Mishar Cooperative, obviously they've changed a bit, because these were originally my space communists, and then they actually added communists into the game. So I might need to sort of realign a few of the types. But basically what I could do, like I could do a playthrough now. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 different species, which can enter into a game. And so basically if I wanted, there could be sort of a grand melee between all of the species that I've done through previous playthroughs. And this is one of the things I like the most about the long run of Stellaris, is that I have this universe of species that I've made. I sort of know all of the different backstories to each of them. They all have sort of a different idea. Oh, actually, you know what? This is another one that I had made. This is one that I had made, but I didn't play because I don't think I've done a hive mind on stream yet. But yeah, it's definitely a touch that I really like, because if you watch any of the marketing for this game, or if you look at any of the details, it's clear that Paradox has their own sort of background story. There's sort of this sequence of events, and there are these personalities that come up in Paradox talking about their own game. But like I said at the start of pretty much every Stellaris playthrough, one of the big appeals of this game to me is that it's this wonderful canvas on which you can basically paint whatever science fiction story you want. And I've now sort of hit this point where I've got a very diverse set of empires, which in principle could appear inside of, inside of a future playthrough. Now, I did promise to show you how to make a criminal group. So this does require the Megacorps DLC. And again, so I'm not going to spend the whole time, like normally when I do a new species at the start of a Stellaris playthrough, it takes about an hour. I'm just going to do something really quick. But to give you an example about why this game has continued to have more, has been something that I've been able to kind of keep coming back to, and something where I feel the game is fresh. In addition to the fact that they keep releasing all of these updates, there's no shortage of different ways to, think about the game, think about what kind of a story you want to tell or what species you want to play. So if I'm going to be doing criminals, I'm actually kind of thinking like, magpies, or I want to think about like birds that snatch things away from you. And I think the bird that's got sort of the best sort of snatching, there's two sort of best snatching ones. This is a little too flashy. I don't know if you guys ever watched the movie American Gangster. It was with Denzel Washington, directed by Ridley Scott. But Denzel Washington's character is very, very careful about being very unpretentious in terms of their dress and their demeanor. And this one actually might work too. But yeah, no, this definitely seems to be the somewhat this is the kind of beak where you can snatch shiny things away. So we'll just do random species name. Let's take avian. See, the funny thing here is some of these kind of seem like spiritualist names, so like Eyes of Red, White Wing, and whatnot. I actually like the idea here of these maybe being code names that they use. So then we would say they are decadent would be, so decadent's kind of interesting actually, because this would be about oh no, it's actually not slaves anymore. Maybe deviant, definitely. Maybe they're charismatic. They're artful dodger. Oh yeah, actually, okay, here we go. Well, we'll make them, oh wait, communal. I wanted to try and find a two. Yeah, you know what, we'll say they're charismatic. So we'll put them on a tropical world. I gotta figure out what I want to do with... Well, actually, I guess we can figure this out. So prosperous unit, stable planetary unification has allowed the civilization to prosper and grow. They're definitely not mechanists. Syncretic evolution would mean that second species forms an integral part of the civilization. They are big, strong, and most of them have the intelligence of a particularly dim-witted child. Ancient wars have culled their species to their most aggressive tendencies, leaving them quite servile. I actually kind of like the idea here that... I would love the idea of sort of investing this so that it's a more symbiotic relationship, so that it's not the subservient species is actually quite capable, maybe even something that looks like us. So it's like the dolphins in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, or no, the better still, the mice, where, you know, they're so subtle at what they're doing that we think we're the ones doing experiments on them. Life seeded is always kind of interesting, but it doesn't quite work for me here. Remnants, this civilization, what span the... Oh, Void Dweller might be interesting. Civilization's made its home in space for as long as it has maintained records. Life in a typical planetary environment is anathema to them. They live in 3 orbital habitats that were only recently united. Start with 3 orbital habitats and a technology to build more. Members of your species thrive on habitats and produce 15% more there. Severe habitability and growth penalties on normal planet. This might be interesting, actually. Started as a lost and forgotten colony separated from its homeworld. Man, there's a few... Galactic Door. So this is one of the things I failed to realize. Galactic Doorstep actually has more than just a gateway. There's stuff that can happen from that. But I don't know, Void Dwellers are kind of neat. I'm shifting around some ideas. Anyways, so I did say we're going to talk about criminals. So first of all, you want to do corporate. And you can take a look at the civics. So when you combine ethic points and civics, it will tell you the type of government you're using. So for instance, you could have a dictator, or sorry, let's do dictator. I can never remember the exact combination that you need. There was one where it was like a, like a science directorate. Oh yeah, here we go. It's oligarchy. Illuminated autocracy. So yeah, as you can see, there's a whole bunch of different sorts of, there's a bunch of different titles that it'll give you. But one of the civics that you can get as a megacorp is criminal heritage. So this megacorporation can trace its origins back to a crime syndicate that eventually grew powerful enough to supplant all forms of local government. So one of the first ideas I sort of had with this is, it's like, okay, so I want, you know, I'm starting off with this idea. I'm going to make some criminals, and I want to think of the types of birds that'll just go and snatch things out of your hands. And that was sort of the original foundation of some of these traits and whatnot. For some reason, it doesn't like the fact... Oh, maybe I just needed to click on it. And then eventually I was thinking about the Void Dwellers. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. So, and when I said like the Artful Dodger, I'm like, well, no, maybe it's kind of this Dickensian sort of thing. There's this other layer to space society, and they, you know, these birds sort of sit in these space cages, and I like the idea of them being spacebound too. So I did say we're going to do criminals, so we definitely start with Criminal Syndicate. Now, we were talking about what are the gameplay effects. So cannot form commercial pacts, can build branch offices on the planet of any regular empire they have no war or active truce with. Crime on branch office planets increases the branch office value, and you can build special crime increasing corporate buildings. So the trick here is that rather than megacorps providing benefits to the target, and being able to, you know, like obviously if you're a megacorp, finding some allies that you can help build them up with. The idea here is that the criminal syndicate benefits from putting out branch offices, and we've seen how effective they can be, putting them out on other worlds, and specifically creating something that makes life difficult for the other side. Now, one of the things I do like is if you do Spiritualist and Gospel of the Masses, you can get the title Subversive Cult, which I think is kind of neat. I'll actually just take a minute here and see if there's any other special names that come up. I don't remember offhand. Indentured assets. So if we do authoritarian... Specialized in large indentured workforces, it has little to do with barbaric practice of slavery. These workers are merely paying off their debts indefinitely. Oh, that's awful. So naval contractors, some degree militarist. It's a protection racket. Mega Corporation relies on several semi-independent naval contractors to increase the fleet size. Competing for bids, the contractors are always struggling to outperform one another. Wait, so why couldn't I do private military? Oh, I can. Wait, that's the same, though. Oh, Army starting experience. Okay. All right, so it looks like there's only one. Well, I mean, there might be special names that you get for different ethics and whatnot. The idea of a pacifist. Hey, Fallout 572. Thank you very much for the follow. Let's try and bring this thing home. So, how do I want to consider my thieving birds? I can't make them a hive mind. The biggest trick that I have right now is to decide whether or not, like what axis I want to be picking first, because like I can eliminate some options just by going for one or the other. So like when I think about birds, I don't really think about authoritarianism, right? I don't really know about a king bird, and yet you feel like a criminal group. Well, actually, maybe that's it. Okay, this is an interesting idea. So a criminal group that isn't it's like decentralized, that it actually doesn't necessarily have a set leader so much as I don't know, maybe it's like a guild or something like that. We could also go fanatic egalitarian, which would be kind of funny. Okay, so let's say again, egalitarian criminals. This is an interesting idea. So so we could, of course, do xenophobe. I actually think I've done egalitarian xenophobes before, where, you know, it seems like, you know, egalitarian is the good guys, so you'd want the other one. We could also make them like somewhat vicious. I do a lot of materialist empires, so. Yeah. Oh wait, but we can't have criminal. Oh, right. Fanatic egalitarian forces you to be democratic. Okay. So I could be really xenophobic, or I could pick another. Yeah, okay. We'll be a bit prickly. And then what would I be out of a criminal heritage? The idea of trading posts kind of seems interesting. So we just keep building all of these orbital habitats all over the galaxy and like pushing people out of our space, but setting up criminal operations.
Every successful economy is built around a hopeless cycle of repetition where we sell you the empty promise of happiness and fulfillment. And unfulfilled as ever, you still come back for more. Every successful economy is built around...
And... yeah, to start. I like the idea of lots of wings and wing-like patterns. They've definitely added some new patterns in here since I last checked this out. I'll go for the standard avian. I actually kind of like the yellow beak as a start, or maybe give a wizened look. Ah, no, I want some color. So either this or this. I think I'll start with that look. And it's based in space. They're also criminals. Doesn't mean they don't like the finer things in life, though. This might up it. I go for this one a lot, though. Yeah, you know, we'll run with that. All right, but yeah, so this is kind of how I run with it. So normally what I would do at this point would be I'd try and take the ideas that I have. So, you know, we started with the idea. It's like, okay, well, I want to show off how you can make a criminal organization in the game. And then I said, okay, well, let's take the idea of birds and like them snatching things out of your hands. So I tried and picked someone with like a good snatching beak. And then I thought a little bit about, okay, well, what kind of traits might they have? You know, deviant's talented and charismatic. I sort of figured. I do like the idea of being charismatic and xenophobic. So they're very good at talking to you, even though they really hate you. I did originally start them off on a tropical planet, but clearly and then I saw the possibility of void dwellers, and I'm like, oh, actually, that's kind of an interesting idea. So you've got a bunch of these space bird sanctuaries, and then this is eventually when I saw this trading post idea, I'm sort of like, well, what if they there's this space where you have the Izarian Syndicate, you don't go to that part of the neighborhood. But also what they wind up doing is they wind up sort of setting up these enterprises on rival areas. There's a side of me that kind of wants to save this and develop it, but we can always bring it back later. But that's, you don't just need to wait for the planet to be taken over from criminal groups. You can actually initiate this yourself and create problems for other people. So. And if you guys would like to see that when I come back to Stellaris, we can. Although I will admit, I've definitely been most interested in doing a proper hive mind, because it is, I've played one on my own, but I actually haven't done one on stream, and I feel like that's kind of an oversight at this point. Oh, especially with like a Tree of Life starts. I wouldn't be able to be a devouring swarm, but. Anyways, for those of you who are stopping by just for Stellaris, we actually just finished our playthrough of Djomar Limited, the megacorp with the particularly ambitious business school graduate who signed up, and because nobody else wanted to take the CEO job, arrived in the office on the first day and found the following letter: to whom it may concern. Congratulations on your new appointment as CEO. I'm sure your education at Insert Educational Institution has prepared you for many exciting and diverse challenges. You will be expected to call on it immediately at the helm of Djomar Limited. The planet is clear boilerplate with security and HR for final draft. We expect this to occur within the current generation. Think to the principles of the free market as our founder did, and I am sure that you will see this enterprise through. Sincerely, your predecessor. So this was when I found out that there was a doomsday scenario when Federations first came out, and I really felt that I wanted to see what would be going on with that. But they succeeded, so not every playthrough necessarily goes through the end. I actually think a couple have also been just outright defeated by the AI sometimes, so this was one of the ones that survived. I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm always happy to answer Stellaris questions when I'm playing another game, but that will be the end of the weekly Stellaris playthroughs on Mondays for a little while, and I'm going to be switching over to Age of Wonders Planetfall. Now, I'd feel a bit bad if I ended the stream at this point. I don't have a ton of time left. But I am going to switch it up to Age of Wonders Planetfall because I've really been wanting to get back to this game. And I am going to need a minute to just tag it up. But I thought I should be upfront about the transition. I will definitely not get to the end of the scenario that I'm planning on doing. But we can at least make a start of it. It's actually quite a challenging one, it turns out. But that's good because it's nice to run into a challenge. This planet. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure everything was tagged up correctly before I transitioned. It's also going to take me a little getting used to because it's been a bit since I've played. There's still another DLC that's on its way. I have no idea. I don't even think it's been announced, other than the fact that there was the season pass, I think, said that there would be 3. But I've enjoyed the 2. Has it been 2 or has there been 3 now? So there's Revelations, there's Invasions. Yeah, I think there's still one more on its way. You know, the funny thing too about Invasions is that I feel I'm quite fond of the characters that I've run into in the main campaign. And so the fact that Invasions has this hostile entity coming in after these people that I like, it kind of was a little off-putting, I guess. It's 3 a.m., so you might take the opportunity to head out. Have a good rest of your stream. Thank you very much, Olaf. It's been great having you inside here. I mean, you probably won't miss that much. You probably watched me the last time that I played this when I did... So I'm pretty sure here... I said I was going to start the, I think I said I was going to start the campaign over. Yeah, because I think we just recaptured the Silver Tower. Yeah, we don't have anything inside here, so... So, we'll abort. You're about to surrender. Your quest to rebuild the Star Union will be ended and you will lose the game. Yes. Alright, so we're back onto Parliament Alpha. At the heart of the Elop Confederation, a twofold invasion engulfs the galaxy. So, we are playing Naranga Odd. We already completed Soldatia. So this is from the Invasions DLC. This is the second of the missions. This actually turns out to be a rather difficult mission. That or I wasn't prepared for it. And we're playing the Shikarn. So the Shikarn waited at the edge of the known Star Union, preparing and researching, spying from within. Now, with the fall of the Star Union, they are ready to strike and conquer that which is their right. Starting bonus, aquatic deployment. Long-term bonus, all racial tech research is 10% faster. Long-term bonus, use infiltrate operations center to steal racial tech trees. Sound weapons group, omniweapons combines sound and laser technology. Use holograms to infiltrate, confuse, and mirror your enemies. Use of broadcasts and propaganda. Amphibious units with epimorphic regeneration, and we are synthesis heroes. So synthesis manipulates AIs to their advantage, hacking and compromising systems for their own gain. Starting unit hacker, deploy AI demons in battle, hack and override enemy mechanical units, bolster strategic operations, integrate the populace into the network, uses arc and kinetic damage channels. And we have synthesis assault equipment for the hacker SMG, covert... decreases society operations research. 2 random techs. Right. So I think this mission...
There is no time like war. No emotion to match the thrill of battle. When our invasion fleet emerged from the void, it surged through the defenses of our enemies like a tidal wave, surging through a village. Within hours, Mora Secundus fell, and so did dozens of other worlds that the Elop Confederation left so carelessly close to the Super Rift. Now, we must press the advantage before our adversary can start to recover. I have been called to the front lines by Chancellor Kor himself to back up his attack on Parliament Alpha, seat of our enemy's government. It is an honor to fight alongside the Chancellor and witness him execute the decapitation strike that could already decide this war. Our target is in visual range. We have a clear view on the defensive zones that the ELOP Alliance has set up to counter our forces. Between the searchlights and orbital cannons, Parliament Alpha is set as the stage for a battle that will long be remembered. Glory to Chancellor Kor, and glory to the Shakarn.
So the big problem with this map is it's 25% water. So the big advantages that I get for, you know, the invisibility for a lot of my units are gone when that's an effect. Or when, sorry, I have fewer tiles in which I get that advantage is what I mean. And the game crashed. Age of Wonders Planetfall has run into an error it cannot recover from and has been shut down. Okay, let's try that again. I do like the fact that they make it very easy to report crashes like that. I want to be as helpful as I can to actually, I feel like that's been happening more often with invasions. But yeah, I definitely want to be as helpful as I can in terms of reporting when I have problems with a game. But it's you know, there's the easier it is, the easier they make it for you to do. Obviously, the better, or you know, the more likely I am to sort of comply. Being able to write an email and describe exactly what they need is not.
There is no.
Not always the easiest. Also, it'll be
Our
educational.
target is in visual range. We have a clear.
It'll be educational to see if this causes a crash again. By the way, I know I've lost a couple of people after moving out of Stellaris, but I do have a question for those of you who've remained. And I know, you know, most people like to lurk, which is completely fine. But for those of you that do want to voice an opinion, I've been playing a bit more Endless Space recently, and I've been meaning to go back to Endless Legend. I also used to do a lot of Dungeon of the Endless way back when. And so I'm kind of curious. Monday will still be dedicated to Paradox for the foreseeable future, but if I were to take one of my other days and start doing some of the other 4X style games, or ones that sort of might be comparable and possibly have some crossover interest, would anybody be interested in seeing some of the Amplitude games being covered? All right. Getting through the orbital crossfire of our enemies was rough, but now we are in a position to strike back. Everyone who made it down here in one piece, gather up. The Chancellor is about to deliver his speech. The eternal stronghold crackled in flames, and it burned for 9 long weeks until it burst open, and its molten shards turned into slithering snakes that rained from the sky. Prakarn and Shazora watched their children purge and spread into the 16 seas, and they both smiled, for they knew that their offspring would make this world their own. Soldiers of the Scarlet Scepter, today is the day to recall the creation of our ancestors on Kalados, because today comes from the moment that we must live up to their legend and lay claim to this galaxy. Our enemies are trapped. They are trembling in fear of the alien invaders that will come to plunder their homes. Tear down their defenses. I say, let them wait no longer. Turn up the sonos, focus your lasers. Tonight we make the heavens weep. Why have you called me, Chancellor? Let me be the first to say that your words have been truly inspiring. I haven't seen any of my troops this motivated since the destruction of the Elop Void Reactor. Ah yes, General Naranga. It is good to finally meet you in person. As you know, the Scarlet Scepter has been very pleased with your achievements on Saladius II. And what better reward could there be than to share the glory of the upcoming victory? When we storm the interplanetary Elop Senate side by side, Our enemy has mounted strong defensive installations. They need to be destroyed one by one before we attack bases, and attack the bases they are protecting. Once their facilities start falling into our hands, we will dismantle them to fuel our own machinery of war. This way, we will grind them down to the last man. So, conquer the Elop Senate, take the planetary Elop Senate by any means, military means necessary. Without their political leaders, the Elop Confederation will fall into splinter factions that the Shikaran invasion force can take out one by one. The Elop territory is fortified with Imperial defenses. Those structures provide additional combat support to your enemies and need to be razed to the ground. Hint, Imperial defense structures will get defended by the garrison of the colony or sector base they are connected to. Scorched Earth, raid the sector bases of your enemy to weaken their supply lines and gain resources to upgrade and reinforce your armies. Hint, raising sector bases with an exploitation gives you the resources corresponding to the income type of that exploration. So the lesson that I sort of get from this one is that they really want to push you on, using undoing like the raising and whatnot. I actually think that might have been a change that was implemented in the patch, and so they wanted to sort of nudge people towards the fact that raising can give you some big bonuses. And that's definitely a lesson that I want to be taking. Okay, so we have
the sea is a maiden of many moods, most of them murderous. Captain Peter Visser, Salty Bay Colony.
Sorry, I just dropped something. Where'd it go? Sorry, I know this is terrible for stream. I just, all right, there we are. Sorry. So we've got aquatic development, frontier facilities. This is funny.
Our colonies require the means to protect themselves and a reason to stay. At the very least, it's time to invest in some good old-fashioned guns and beer. Dollar Smith, Deneb Colony Mayor.
It feels like the effort here is not to just build a big force, although maybe that was what I tried to do last time. Anyways, I am going to avoid frontier facilities. I'll actually see if it even lets me build... so it does let me build a colonizer. Oh, damn it. I didn't want to move him there. General, that's how I'm supposed to call you now, right? I know that I'm not in any position to question your orders, but may I ask why you haven't been sent to the front lines like everybody else? Is it because you still fear why I haven't been sent to the front lines like everybody else? Is it because you still fear my betrayal? No, it isn't, James. But don't ask questions like these that would make me regret the decision to accept you into our ranks. You are not a trained soldier, and you shouldn't be seeing the cruelties that happen to your people at the front. But I need to see the consequences of my actions. When the thing I did leads to suffering, how can I look away and ignore the truth, especially when I need to learn about how our two races will be able to coexist in the future? There's a simple answer to your last question, James. They won't. We Shikar don't mingle with other species. We conquer them. Now pick up that assault rifle over there. You have a lot to learn. So I've got limited resources in terms of my armies. What I am going to try here... So I do want to try this approach of sort of blitzing everything and not necessarily building like a large infrastructure or anything like that. There is also... So I think this is my ally. Yeah, this is sort of the main assault force. So my hope is that we're going to be able to sort of combine the two efforts. But again, I might be doing this completely wrong.
Flash crimson through your neck frills, make your eyes bleed, and lift your dorsal spines high, for tonight we celebrate our watery homeworld by terrorizing the natives of this lesser world. Taraku Supreme, Throne Frontrunner.
Okay. So Kudat Rotak is definitely sort of a frontline assault sort of a guy. So infantry commander, I think I might even do a ground commander because he's got some heavy units. Sleeper unit gives me a bonus. Yeah, I will do Call Insider because that gives me a nice, that gives me an extra unit at a time when I'm not necessarily going to be building a lot of replacements. Hi, Crack Steve. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but I did do a criminal organization a little while ago. This is Age of Wonders Planetfall, specifically the Invasions DLC. This is another Paradox game, although published, and I was given a key both to Planetfall as well as this particular DLC. For promotional purposes. But this one is a little bit closer to games like Civilization or Endless Space, so it's a bit closer to a 4X style game. If you didn't get a chance to see the criminal organization, you should be able to see the VOD. It was probably 15-20 minutes ago, I think. This guy is Kudat Rotak, so this is one of my heroes in my armies, and he's a member of the Shikarn, which was a race that was added in the DLC. So, I'm just trying to think of ability. I think Steady Aim and Deadly Sight are probably... I can try Quaking Shields. Range Specialist, Deadeye. Yeah, gives me something to start with. So I'm basically trying to focus a lot on giving him his early advantages. Also, because I'm not necessarily going to be building any extra units due to the energy reserves, I should also be thinking about mods that will make my units stronger over time. So what's the plot? Well, right now we're invading... Age of Wonders Planetfall has a really interesting plot, especially with all of the different species that it has. The company that made this is called Triumph, and they have just these really creative races that they've made. But the simplest answer that I can give about what's happening right now is that we are this race that has sort of been watching the fall of a star union, almost something like what I was playing in Stellaris. And this is the moment that they've decided to attack. So the mission that we had done before, we were sort of breaking apart their defenses. This is the main general, so he's leading sort of a frontal attack, and we're in a support role of trying to break the defenses on sort of the capital world of this new star union or whatever. So we're not necessarily invading primitives. These people are actually quite capable of defending themselves, but we've gotten the jump on them. So I've actually done this mission once before and I got my ass kicked. So I'm trying to see if I can do a better job. All right, so I believe this time I wanted to do Zardes. So Djomar was the other guy. Zardes is the infiltration one. So 10% evasion, universal camouflage disables the option to gain. Yep, that's fine. If I can, I would like to distribute... we'll do infantry commander. I don't think there is a reason for me to do ground commander, though. Call Insider, because again, I'm short on units. All units in this hero's army bypass 1 shields, 1 armor. Definitely. Disrupting hack. Send a disrupting wave to hack an area, compromising mechanical and cyborg units. I should probably do that. Target enemy mechanical or cyborg unit is forcibly infected with a hostile demon that attempts... Yes, okay. What have I got? 5 skill points left, so... I've already got range specialist. I think on this one I'm going to do all-round awareness so this unit can't get flanked. I am lizards, or lizard-like people. The specific name is the Shikarn, but... okay, so production in the capital. So the military infrastructure is going to be a tough time. I could try and grow through food. But maybe that doesn't make sense this time around. Okay, so what... Alright, so when I take a look here, I'm actually beside a lot of food exploitation. So it doesn't quite seem to make as much sense for me to try and go for the early food. In this case, I actually think I need... I either need production or I need energy. So I think I'm going to start with a central reactor core just so I can get a little more... Oh, wow. Alright, I will still draw down on my resources. Yeah, I definitely see what's up here. So it's not that I can't build other sectors. It's just I need to make sure that I earn enough money to justify it. Alright, so we will destroy enemy sector bases and defenses. Relationship with Shikarn change to friendly. We kind of already know that. We've got an alliance with our boss. Yeah, we don't need to do any deals. Although the game does now penalize you if you ignore... Who am I conquering? It's an organization known as ELOP. So we've got... Actually, we don't see any of them right now, but you'll see them in just a minute. So this is just informing me of all of the diplomatic agreements that we have at the start. Discovered a personality trait of Chancellor. They are a warmonger. Warmonger plays more aggressive playstyle, focusing their research on weapons and units specific to their race. They aim to increase their colony productivity to build more units. And victory condition Scarlet Dawn. You can win this map by conquering the Elop Senate. It would be a decisive victory for the Scarlet Scepter plans against the Egalitarian League of Planets. So Elop is Egalitarian League of Planets, who are the people we're conquering. So it's actually a group of people that we're conquering specifically, but you'll see in just a minute. All right. Dope. I'm being impatient. So this time I kind of want to hit them as hard as I can, but I'm not going to ignore my base's well-being. So we are going to get some experience and just generally try and improve things for our units. So this is a very low-risk battle. I don't actually need to. You have an auto combat option, a little bit like say Total War or something like that. But in this case here, it's kind of fun. It's also nice to just learn how these units work again. So I am going to do the manual combat, and the way that this game works, so the main driver is sort of the strategic layer, this hex-based, turn-based game. But when you do combat, unlike something like, say, Civilization, it does take you into a tactical game like XCOM. In fact, I kind of like to think of this as an inversion of XCOM, in the sense that XCOM, really, the tactical game, is what's really kind of driving the... It's what is driving the action, really. When you think of XCOM, you think of moving your units, and the strategic layer is interesting, but not the thing that you associate most with the core experience of XCOM. Age of Wonders, the turn-based tactical game, is totally fine. It's actually very fun, But the thing that you think of most of all is sort of the colony management and getting yourself into a position where you have an advantage here. So you can have up to 7 basically up to 7 hexes can participate in combat, and you can summon other, summon reinforcements as well. But in this case, we'll have 3 hexes plus the one that we're attacking, and this is marauders. So basically, these are like barbarians in Civilization. So this isn't necessarily the target of the invasion, but this is a hostile force that we want to deal with. And again, I don't really have anything to worry about in terms of the results of the battle. But what I would like to take the opportunity to do is learn a little bit more about how my units work, just so that when the time comes, I can make some slightly better decisions. So, if I want, I can do call in. Yeah, we'll do call insider to get the extra body for starters. Okay. So this recon unit, I think this is air-to-air? No, it's a stagger. I'm not entirely sure I want to go toe-to-toe with these. So what I'll do is I'll set up the recon boy. So if they want to try any funny business and coming in close to us, they are going to sign themselves up for sort of an attack. I can't scramble anybody. Now at some point I am actually going to have to fight them, so, and we don't have Overwatch. But I don't believe these guys have area of effect attacks. So we'll set up a front line. We'll also set ourselves up in, to get some defensive bonuses. So if I can, Hollow Shift would be welcome, but I think I actually need to be in range for that. So I think I'm just gonna... I think I'm gonna stay put for this. Alright, now this is kind of the main force. These are people who I would actually like to do some damage to the enemy. Although I can also call an insider. You know what, I'll call an insider later. We're actually able to do some chip damage, so... That's the commander of the other unit. Now this guy only has melee, I believe. Actually, given the fact that this is all melee here, the fact that I'm staying behind cover doesn't really mean a whole lot. I'm still doing it, but... can I get another shot off? I can. It's not the most exciting prospect, but maybe we'll get lucky. Oh, wow. Okay, that's welcome. The Avatar. Let's figure out what this guy does. So, Disruption Virus. Use an arc node to fire Disruption Virus at a target enemy unit. This attack jumps 2 times to other enemy units within 2 hexes. Causes compromise. Overload is an area of effect. And it also boosts my existing troops. So I'll keep them in the area, but I don't want them to be targeted by any of the bad guys. On the odd chance that they try any funny business, I'm going to put down a recon boy. I would be interested if I could do some damage on these guys, but I can't. So I'll kind of keep them in. I'll keep them in the back. And this guy, I don't think he's actually going to be able to get that much done. But I'll try and get both of these units to combine. Now, this unit in particular, the Tactician, one of us all along, target enemy Tier 1 or Tier 2 infantry unit reveals that one of its own was a sleeper agent all along, which appears under your control in an adjacent hex. That's a really cool one. And then there's also Press the Advantage. So it's a one turn cooldown. Target non-tactician friendly unit regains all action points. So basically you get 2 moves thanks to this guy. Which is another really good one. I think he might possibly be... No, never mind. Alright, so let's see what kind of damage we're looking at. None! Okay. So we've got a whole bunch of advantages from them being within the range of this thing. I wonder if it says what status effects they're under. So enemy units in a 2 hex radius easier to hit. Yeah, maybe actually it may not be as good as I thought. First things first, though, I want to use this commander to take out as many enemies as I can. However, I also want to take advantage... Oh, hang on. So there's only one shot that the Omni Cannon gives, so it makes more sense for me to actually get in close. It does mean they're potentially at risk from, say, the Swift Beak. But if I can put a big hit on one of these... one of these tougher enemies, it sort of frees me up for other retaliation. So let's deal with the one... Okay, good. Now this guy's also a heavy hitter, so I think we're going to get both to... focus on taking out the big guys. And just sort of hope we have enough left in the tank to be able to do a cleanup job. That's a 55% chance, 65, 90, damn it. I'm gonna roll the dice. Alright, well, I can't get too upset. So I'm a little nervous about the. I'm a little nervous about this unit here. So being able to stagger it will limit its movement, and then potentially being able to take it out with my other units. Ruinous sonic attack at a target location in a 2 hex cone. Now, I think the catch on that one is it's not going to do that much to the flying units. But let's test. Oh no, I need the full action for that. Okay. This would have been a great time to have an undo button. So, but given what I know right now, let's take out what we can. This unit is actually in quite a bit of danger from all of these flying units because these flying units have an air-to-air attack. Yeah, 33% additional damage. So there are currently 3 units that can potentially do bonus damage against this target. So what I want to do, sort of as compensation, I want to try and find as much... I want to do as much damage as I can to something that could potentially harm this unit up here. Oh, this will be nice. Alright. Would have been nice if I didn't have a Grace, but I can work with that. Also, because the Firebrand is a melee unit, I'm actually going to get it to run in on the Swift Beak. So if nothing else, it's going to lock it into sort of a fist fight, and now I don't need to worry about it running around and killing any of my other guys. So I believe this hacker also has a bounce. No, it doesn't. But we can take out the big flyer.
Enemy eliminated.
And that's going to mean that these raiders are sort of left to be able to take out the wild shrikes. Although this one doesn't have line of sight. Yeah, so our chances aren't great, but we've got a chance.
Enemy destroyed.
Cool.
Enemy killed.
Okay, so now at this point, it's really just a matter of try and wrap up the match. Unbelievable. All right.
Superior once more.
So I mean, again, this isn't the sort of thing that you want to spend a whole lot of time thinking about. Like, this is me targeting something that I have like over 3 times the strength of, but it gave me an idea about what my people can do. And we got food, a lacerating shotgun, which I don't think I will need to use, but we'll see, and a wild harrier, which I can add to one of my other units. So we'll add them to this group over here. I would kind of like to distribute the experience a bit more evenly, so maybe I'll wait out. Who is messaging me so much? Oh, and apparently I forgot to upgrade this guy. Okay, so we're gonna leave this... I think I'm gonna leave this unit where it is, although I am gonna move them into a slightly more convenient location, just so we can distribute the experience bonuses for combat amongst everyone. Now, one thing I like about the technology tree for this game is that they've divided it between military and social research. So one of the things... Now, this is a really good choice on the part of a game like Civilization. So you kind of have the guns and butter choice, right? Where you can invest your research into military technology, and then, of course, you'll be able to conquer your enemies more effectively. But that potentially comes at the expense of technologies that will make you better at building things, and, of course, gaining additional research and so on and so forth. And so if you don't balance both properly, you're going to find that your enemies are able to sort of overtake you. In the case of Age of Wonders Planetfall, one of the reasons why I like the division between military and social technology. So number one, like there's justifications both ways. I think Civilization is an interesting choice because in the end you're really focusing on those 4 pillars all at once. Age of Wonders Planetfall, and that is an interesting choice in and of itself. The Age of Wonders approach is also justified because, of course, a lot of technology that was developed originally for military purposes ultimately found found a lot of use in civilian applications. So, like microwaves and the internet, even satellite navigation. So you can sort of see arguments for both methods. The reason why I think it works particularly well for Age of Wonders Planetfall is that while it is possible to play otherwise, there really is a very heavy military emphasis on in Age of Wonders. Excuse me. Sorry about that. There's a heavy military emphasis in the way that maybe isn't so true for Civilization. So in Civilization, the military is one tool that you have among many to achieve your goals. Whereas when you play a game like Age of Wonders, because you have hero units and you want to go and explore dungeons and whatnot and get special items, and those special items tend to be special weapons, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to not take advantage of of the military abilities that you have. It would be weird not to to play this game as a pure pacifist, although I think that is possible. And so as a result, being able to say, you break the decisions down to, here is where I would like to specialize my military, and then on the other side you say, here are the production priorities that I'm going to be working on for the next few rounds. and I think it's a nice balance between the two. So, with that in mind, I did say that because it was not necessarily likely that I was going to be able to have more units, at least from the start, I need to be thinking about what mods I want to be giving my units. So we've got portable scanners. Unit gains detection, +2 sensor range, and its damaging abilities gain a 10 strength chance, 6 for repeating attacks to apply analyzed, which reduces the resistance of the target. This mod will grant the unit an additional shield. Sonic. This unit's sonic weapons have a 12 strength chance to apply disoriented to non-ethereal units, giving a 30% fumble chance for its attacks. That's definitely one that's pretty good for survivability. And then 10% increased damage on all abilities. And then finally, the heavy laser application. This unit's laser weapons have a 10 strength chance to set targets on fire, causing immolation for 3 turns. Immolation deals 10 fire damage per turn, as well as making the affected unit 30% easier to hit. Additionally, this mod grants a unit a 10% increased damage on all abilities. I think in this case I'm going to do deafening free... Oh, sorry, we also have the synthesis integration. So unit is 20% harder to hit by ranged attacks. They also become integrated, allowing them to interface with synthesis technology. And this unit gains 10% accuracy, 10% critical hit chance. They become integrated. And integrated military networks, all mechanical and cyborg units are integrated, allowing them to interface with synthesis technology. I think in this case I'm going to do deafening frequencies because almost every unit I have has some kind of sonic weapon. The fact that it gives additional damage, and then also the fact that there's a 30% fumble chance after applying disoriented, is that's just kind of hitting on all of the notes that I was really looking for. So, I think I'm going to start. So there's a lot of arguments for going down the covert route easy, but one thing I do notice is that when I look at my the most logical expansion options, either this region or this region. Actually, you know what? Energy makes the most sense. I do kind of want energy more than anything else. So I've changed my mind. I was originally going to do food because it sort of seemed to be that these were the two most natural extensions. But it's not really. It's actually the energy area up here that makes more sense. Although it does mean that I'm delaying my expansion out into this region. I should still try and clear out Shroud Swamp because I am going to need the extra energy for defense. So let's do Energy Development 1. That's going to allow me to exploit this area over here. And we have to end the turn. So I did say that I wanted to be a little more even-handed with the experience, so I'm going to move Naranga Odd before I go too much further. Come General Naranga, there is something I want you to see. The Chancellor switches on a monitor which is transmitting live footage from inside a remote testing chamber. A human soldier is standing motionless in the middle of an empty room. There are 10 fleshy tendrils sprouting from the back of his head. Our scientists have been experimenting with the xenoplague parasite over the past few weeks. It is an interesting study to see how symbiosis with the alpha strain can change the attributes and behavior of its host. In the past, it has always proven to be a tedious task to govern and occupy races conquered by the Scarlet Scepter. How often did we have to put down rebellions or relocate the population of entire planets? With the right use of the xenoplague, however, all of that could change. A series of commands are transmitted into the testing chamber. In accordance with them, and without any sign of emotion, the soldier moves to the different corners of the room. Imagine that instead of setting up a complete military occupation, we release a specific variant of the alpha strain on the target population, a variant that changes their behavior patterns, suppressing any urges to dissent or rebel, while at the same time enhancing their physical capabilities. The perfect worker slaves would be born. What a thorough and definitive solution, my Chancellor. Your wisdom and vision continue to serve as an inspiration for all Shakan. How long do you expect it to take until this new alpha strain variant will be ready? Surely this is still at an early stage. On the contrary, General, I expect the first large-scale field test to commence soon. It is a scientific project of the highest priority in the Empire, and it has the most brilliant and loyal researchers dedicated to it. How very fortunate. These are surely blessed times for the Scarlet Scepter and its leaders. So, in a previous mission, we had decided not to use this bioweapon, and so this obviously is not exactly good news for our character. Alright, let me get these skill points down, because I don't think it's going to let me do it on... it's not going to instruct me to do that on its own. Now, this is really the unit of Misfit toys, as always, so I'm not 100% sure what I want. Well, actually, with that in mind, Rallying Cry is helpful here. Maybe Infantry Commander, and if we do Dig In, Hero is an expert at taking cover, gains 2 resistance. 50% appellate, yeah, okay. We'll make him just an effective combatant for starters. It looks like we already have an expansion option, so I'm going to expand Shroud Swamp. Marauders are trembling in fear and are trying to flee the battle. What do you want to do? We can allow them to retreat. We still get the experience. Didn't we already do this? Oh, army training is different. So, with Zarda's training on the battleground, the hero uses its Gamma leadership skills to improve all units in its armies. All non-hero units gain +2 resistance against status effects and universal camouflage. Only functions when this hero is the army's commander. So this is really helpful in the sense that the whole stack becomes basically invisible. And I'll go for Deadeye just because it evens out the numbers. I don't think we're going to be able to get this guy in on the group, so actually I'll get him to pick up the resources instead. Okay, well, let's... And again, we'll just get some extra practice with our units here. We'll do another manual battle, but I don't really have a whole lot to fear from a 440 stack. Okay, so there is a little chip damage that I can do to these guys. I am interested in seeing if I have some better options. Yeah, actually I do. This guy's gonna get a little tickled a little bit by the troops, I think, but this is gonna force them to decide whether or not they want to take that cover. So not a lot of people in this army have Overwatch, but I'll use it when I can. Now the infiltrator unit's going to be a bit of a more difficult case. I am also potentially open to grenades, but I suspect that that's not actually going to be my biggest worry. So let's start by... Alright, well this unit can't be flanked, so I'm going to just run him up to the front, and in this case I'm going to give him the Amplify Demon. So I'm going to get a nice early shot against the bike. The other thing that's nice is that I also have the option next turn of jumping in. If there's a bunch of people clustered up, I can sort of jump in with the Phoenix Surge and deal a bunch of fire damage in the middle of their ranks. So one of the things I'm trying to do here is avoid letting the all of these units are really dedicated to sort of sitting down and battening down the hatches. So I want to penalize that behavior as much as possible on this run. I'm trying to decide whether or not... Yeah, I mean, they're potentially flanked, but... I did want to protect this unit a little more than I did last time. Yeah, I think we're just going to defend him for the time being. But I am going to take advantage of the recon unit. Now, there's one spot where the recon isn't going to affect. I think that's inside here. But again, this is all about... So, they have a couple of choices now. They can either move out into the open, where there's no cover, but they're not going to be affected by these. They can try and shoot these, which means, that attack is neutralized and they're, they spend their time dealing with this. Or they stay in their cover, but I get the bonuses from these beacons. So we'll see what the AI decides to do with that. So again, this is a hero. I'm not too worried about him taking all that much damage. That was quite a bit more than I wanted that unit to get. Actually, this guy's also taking quite a bit more damage than I was expecting, but we'll be able to make it all work. Another important bit of information... Oh, I think that's everyone. Yeah, so I do have... so that's a lot more damage than I was expecting that unit to take. So one bit of good news is I do have the Hollow Men. So target friendly unit heals for 15 and has negative static effects removes and gains 15 evasion. So we'll move up one. So I got to decide whether or not I want to move this unit or I actually might choose. This is a slightly better shot even if I'm not in cover. Sonopost doesn't really do a whole lot, and I potentially lose that unit. I gotta be careful because I'm gonna get grenaded if I cluster people too much like this, but possibly being able to... This unit cannot use actions. Okay, so I don't need to worry about the bike this turn. That's good. I would have loved to be able to hurt this trooper over here, but I don't think I have any options. So what I can afford to do now, I'm going to move this unit back so that I can at least do a little chip damage on the bike, but not actually put this guy in any risk. I still haven't decided about Rotak. So let's deal with these other units first. So again, given that they've committed completely onto this side of the encounter. Alright, so I have to put my own people out of cover. But that's a risk I'm willing to take. It's just shy of what I needed. I believe the scrambling virus also works against this unit. I think I'm going to hold off for the time being, just to see if there's anything a little more interesting that I can do. So here, my infiltration, yep, should work. This gives me all the abilities, so the Vanguard units are pretty good at being sort of stuck in and sort of, I don't know, shooting down their enemies. I could set up an Overwatch if I was so inclined, but that seems sort of lame, so here I'll take advantage of the assault rifle. One of the reasons I want to do that is because if I can credibly take this guy out, which I'll try now. That's a pity. I was hoping that I could sort of use the firebrand to sort of run in and take this guy out. So now I've kind of shown my hand now. I now need to dedicate units to try and take out this target, and this is going to mean a few people are going to be outside of cover, which is not normally where I would want them to be. Well, you know what? I could use my jetpack to get to a better position. So it's not ideal. I'm still flanked.
Enemy eliminated.
Oh, wow. So that's why I couldn't attack it. Okay, so the Omni Shot, impaired, staggering force, we rammed the target. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Again, I'm not worried about this unit because it's disabled for 2 turns. I guess I have to go for the higher chance. I sort of bungled all of this. But knowing what I know now, let's see what other opportunities are available. Again, I want to focus on these more interesting targets. Because this guy's, at least the game has told me this guy's not going to be moving. It's a risk, but it's one I'm willing to take. And my hacker might be able to seal the deal, but I'm not holding my breath. Just shy of what I needed. All right. Interesting. So they decided to go after the infiltrator.
Eternal glory.
So again, it can move. Whoa. Okay, yeah. Reconnaissance boy. I was like, when it says eternal glory, that means that a unit died. I was like, wait a minute. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I'm actually going to use the firebrand to take out the Djomar unit. The reason for this is that it's going to get a... Yeah, so it gets a retaliatory strike. Now that's kind of eliminated. So let's get the Sonators to finish the job.
Cattle for the slaughter.
I'll go for the flank.
Enemy destroyed.
All right, so the rest of this is just a matter of mopping up the enemy units. So the damage is persistent between rounds, so there's going to be a little bit of healing to have happen here. But again, all of this is about getting XP for these units, and there's nothing here that I don't really see any need to... Like, I'm not too worried about the overall health for these guys. All right, so I'm actually going to try and run up to this sector as quickly as possible, just so that we can get the advantage of all of the extra goodies. And then after that, we'll sort of begin our invasion in earnest.
Production ready.
Okay, so I'm currently generating 22. This will let me build infiltrators. This will let me build Deadeyes. It only takes me 1 turn. So in this case, I'm definitely going to... This propagation towers gains 4 happiness. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about this, but I am actually going to try and build the infrastructure while I have the energy credits.
Operations available for priming.
So that was the expansion that got growth. Dear Symbiote, Naranga Odd, we are the growth. Our distant nodes have spread word of your gracious deeds. We seek to sprout new relations with other intelligent life forms such as yourself, and to strengthen the symbiosis. Are you interested, or do you have another purpose? We seek collaboration to work together for a brighter future. We are thrilled with your response, and we look forward to seeing our relation bloom like a gorgeous flower. As proof of your loyalty to the symbiosis, we seek help in an important matter. Our mother node would provide compensation in abundance if you decide to help. Which matters would benefit from our help? Criminals are stealing our essence. Most alarming, they steal our seed pods. Many a friend has died. So sad, always the same. Their innards cored out to harvest our precious seeds for their terrible appetite. So this is actually advantageous to me because we're going to be up in this area anyway, so this allows us to do a quest. Again, I don't want to get too distracted from my goals because I will sort of wake up and find out that I've been... I'll sort of wake up and find out that I'm dealing with a really strong enemy, and I don't have anything to really show for my extra time. But given the fact that right now energy deficits are going to be the thing that keep me from being able to field a larger army, doing what I can to get over that shortcoming, I feel is sort of a good first priority. So. First Minister Tholian, a storm is coming. The vultures have left their nest amongst the mists to descend on the rotting remains of the once mighty Star Union. Where they see decay, new life has already begun to stir, and they that sowed the wind will reap nothing but the whirlwind. Pause to ignore. If there is one thing my brethren have proven in the past, it is that we will never cease to continue to fight for our freedom. By rock, Querzed, horn, and tail, no enemy shall withstand the fury of the swarm when the Kiriko colonies unite to defend their homes. Nicole Crustus, peace is the most valuable achievement of the egalitarian League of Planets. However, when war knocks at our door, we will barricade our gates and defend this peace for all that it is worth. Iona Kalari, not all of us Amazons care about the world outside our perfect gardens, yet those of us who are blessed with curiosity to venture out and study all aspects of life have found that such gardens can exist in many shapes and forms. We are not afraid of predators. Good. Let the Elop commanders snarl and growl with all their might. There is no glory in beating a feeble foe. So this is basically... The game has sort of informed me that they know I'm there, and they're ready for me. The remnants of the transport contain only a salvageable energy pod worth 30 energy. Unfortunately, its destroyed systems reveal no data on the convoy's origin, destination, or what led to its destruction. Okay, unexploited sector, so we'll do energy exploitation to start off with. In fact, I'm going to rank that higher than the... I'm going to rank that higher than my other infrastructure. Move them as close to the target as I can, but again, it's got to be the whole group that goes. With maybe the exception of this guy.
Incoming communication.
Purity of strength. I'm glad that we share that sentiment. Too many cooks can spoil the broth, and I like my broth as clear as can be. The commander's opinion has changed to 100 due to their personality trait. So in this case, this is just sort of we can. This is kind of maintaining the diplomatic relationship.
Sector annexed. Production ready.
All right. And I will probably need to wrap up after this, but let's see if we can get one more turn in and call it a night. So I have 2 turns before the energy exploitation. We should be getting this area next turn, which will give me an additional 5 energy. That's still not enough to fully compensate for the loss from construction, but it definitely it gives us a bit of a sharper edge than what we would normally have. Okay.
Operations available for priming.
You know, I might as well... I'll prime this one for start. I don't exactly want to squander all of my energy resources, but I think it's... Well... If I'm clever, I think I can actually take out both this turn. This time I'm going to do the auto combat. I just want to see... Yeah, there's like no damage that got taken. This is partly driven by the fact that I know I don't have a lot of time. Alright, it's not quite enough to take us all the way, but... Oh, that was unexpected. Ah, damn it. Okay. I don't normally like doing this, but... And if I do... Again, a little damage, but nothing drastic. So, one thing you could potentially be worried... So, I mean, one thing that you guys already know I don't like being backseat. One thing that kind of bugs me about people who are always like, oh, you just take the one unit and move it in. There is actually a reason why you wouldn't want to do this. And it's in a situation exactly like this, where you don't necessarily know what's in any of these other regions. And so if you have one unit that just suddenly goes out on its own, this is now a liability. This is a target, and you're still going to have to pay that. You're still going to have to pay the movement back, right? Like, these units are all going to have to move. Now, as it is, they're all moving towards this area, which is why I felt okay doing that. But if you develop the habit of trying to get, like, an extra fight in by using one unit to move ahead, then what you're potentially doing is holding your... you're potentially serving up your stacks on a plate for the enemy to take advantage of. And if you happen to be up against someone you know who does that a lot, like, this unit in particular would be perfect for this kind of a trap, because you just leave them, you leave them in a spot where, you don't think that they're going to be detected. You wait for an enemy to sort of overextend one single unit, and then you can sort of swoop in and take them in a spot where you have an advantage. Of course, in this particular case, these guys are reasonably well positioned. They're always going to have 2 units as backup, but there's plenty of situations where you break an otherwise good formation, and then you just wind up very sad. Okay, this guy's got 6 points to spend. So Purging Field, hero launches a Purging Field modulator to the target location. I do like using this guy as a... I do kind of like using this guy as like an attacker rather than... Okay, Fallout Protocols for sure, because it makes my units a bit stronger. And yeah, I'll give him the extra vitality because he took quite a bit more damage than I was expecting before. So, not what I was originally thinking of doing, but I think this is sound. I said 1 more turn, didn't I? Okay, maybe 2 more turns. Yeah, we're at 11 o'clock, so I do need to wrap up before too long. But I don't know, finishing the quest seems like a good break point. It's a pity that this guy doesn't quite have the range to pick this up on his own, because like the plan will be to reincorporate these units into a stack after all is said and done. There's the Autonom. These are a natural rival to the Growth. Okay, deafening frequencies.
On primordial days, vibrations in the rocks warned us of predators. We took in every sound. We craved tiny tremors. Once we trembled and fled. But we evolved. Sound is our weapon now. We bask on warm stones, feeling the vibrations of 1,000 tiny heartbeats, waiting patiently for our prey. Cabra, huntress of the Fang.
Okay, so I do want to apply this to my units, but I obviously want to do it after the combat. So if we do Sonalysis application, sonic weapons gain armor melt, destroying 1 armor per hit. And we get the shield shattering frequency, a special sonic frequency, hits targets in a 2 hex radius, dealing 8 damage, destroying 4 shields till the end of combat. Or I can spend 3 turns. So discerning systems at some point I'm going to have to pick so that I can gain access to more units. The question is whether or not I want to do that right now. I think I'm actually going to do synthesis integration as a start. The justification's a bit of a weird one, but I'm mostly just trying to lay the foundation for the next few turns on some of these choices.
Production ready.
Okay, so even though we're now... Okay, so we're able to sort of build and expand. This is good.
Happiness event in colony.
And it's another low-risk battle, so we'll try the auto. So if the AI ever winds up killing one of your units, you can always retry and take the field yourself. We thank you for destroying the pirate slaughterhouse. We know you, fine symbiote, and consider you a friend. Okay. So apparently I can also enter the heavy weapons factory. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to find here, but this does give me a chance to show off. Is it the 24? Yeah. $9.30, huh? Maybe that's one to start the next stream with, because this will be a more difficult fight. Yeah, okay. I'll run from it from now. I think I'm actually going to call it there. I realize this is only... Well, actually, I guess this is closer to an hour of Planetfall. Based on the viewership, it seems like there was a bit of a... Like, the numbers sort of fell off a cliff for Age of Wonders Planetfall. So Again, it's always a tough one to do at the end of the stream when people have already left, but if you happen to dislike Age of Wonders Planetfall, let me know. I do rather like this game, and so I will probably still play it, but if there is a better home for my Age of Wonders content, that will be good to know, particularly if I wind up asking for a key for any future DLC, because if it turns out that this is not something that I do very well, I would rather not, ask for something that I feel like I would then need to do multiple broadcasts for. Again, I'm somewhat of the, I'm rather inclined towards playing this, so it would take a fairly unambiguous, I don't like this kind of a response. But I am open to that kind of feedback. As far as future plans for this playthrough, so I think I did say that the plan was going to be to, to try and be a bit faster in terms of taking out enemies and fulfilling objectives. Also with a mind to sort of raising targets and whatnot. But given the fact that the base is now somewhat self-sustaining, I can sort of see expanding. It's hard to say whether or not I want to go to the overgrown biodome, or maybe I just want to do Celery Stalk Supply Complex and the Psi Shrine, because obviously being able to get the extra science is worth it. I get a total of 4 extra sectors, so we could do 1, 2, 3, 4. I could do 1, 2, 3, 4. I could do 1, 2, 3, 4. The one thing that does make me a little nervous about that is Inditya is sort of left on its own. On the other hand, I now have the sort of the wherewithal to be able to build up the military infrastructure. So I can't afford the 16, but I can definitely bring it up to a level 2. I suppose that's another consideration in terms of defense. Actually, yeah. So with that in mind, I know the Celery Stalk Supplies Complex is not going to be made available to me immediately. But if I try and recover this thing, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4. That kind of covers all my bases. It's a little light on food. Oh yeah, and I would need to ask the growth to Vamoose too. I can see this working though. But something, obviously, a consideration for another time. So my current expectation is that I'll be playing this on Mondays for the next little while. Once I finish Parliament Alpha, what I would like to do, I don't believe I finished so I don't think we even did the first of the Revelation. Well, sorry, we did the first of the Revelations, but we didn't finish it. And actually I still have, oh no, this is the wrong save then, because we've definitely done some of these. Okay, maybe we are on the second. This is probably going to load up the save that I just finished. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to have to go back to the system map, but I suspect, I think the plan will be I'll go back to the main quest line because we're close to the end of that. So the base game, I'm going to go back, finish that, and then I think I'm going to go back to the Revelations. Yeah, that's so weird that it starts me back. So we do still have a few to go with. I think we ended on like the Amazon, but we are sort of making progress on that. So I think what I'll do is we'll finish up Invasions, we'll go back to the base game, and then assuming that there isn't anything sort of that comes up in between now and then, we'll finish off the Revelations quest line. If you are interested in Age of Wonders Planetfall, but you're maybe not convinced on the single player campaign, I actually think this game does 4X single player in a really interesting way. But if you're looking for something a little bit more traditional, I highly recommend that you do the new planet option. Lots of different planet options here with the added DLC. There will be fewer if you just have the base game, but even then, there's plenty that's plenty that's enjoyable inside there. And this is going to this is definitely going to be a little bit more like starting up a civilization game and sort of picking, I'm going to do continents this time, or I'm going to do Pangea. One of the things that I think comes up every once in a while when you look at the list of features inside of the DLC, it says, you've unlocked a new planet type. It sort of seems like, okay, yeah, so it's like a cosmetic change. It's actually quite a bit more meaningful. Like I think these are pretty diverse and interesting, different choices that you can run with. And obviously, if you go to the advanced setup, there's no shortage of sort of tweaks that you can do. But the new planet mode is actually very fun in its own right. This is if you just want sort of the pure strategy game. But as it is, because Age of Wonders has largely been about sort of heroes and special abilities, I actually quite like the fact that it gives me, it sort of gives me these options in terms of factions and stories, and I tend to like this sort of stuff. So I've been focusing a lot on the single player campaign because I think it's something I don't get to see in a lot of different strategy games, and I wish more games would take advantage of that style. Anyways, I actually have a Elder Scrolls Morrowind episode to still record tonight, so it may be a later start depending on how long it takes YouTube and Twitch to encode it. I'll try and let you know when that's available. And Elegy is currently playing Horizon Zero Dawn, so this is always a tricky one for me to host because I sometimes get the impression... Oh, wait a minute. You know what? Yep. They don't let me raid their channel. So that's fine. We'll host Rainbow Lightbright. She's doing a game called Stream Raiders, which I haven't actually... I'm not familiar with it. But Rainbow Lightbright is actually a streamer that I found through Apocalypse, and I think used to be a Mixer streamer. Definitely, I've really enjoyed watching her play. I think it was called Coffee Talk, and I think she also did Valhalla. So there's been a couple of games that I've really enjoyed watching her play. Again, I can't really say what Stream Raiders is, so I hope you guys enjoy it. It looks like there is an audience participation component. So I'll leave it for you to decide whether or not it's worthwhile, but that'll be who I leave it with. I hope you guys have a good time. Morrowind tomorrow. Wednesday we'll be back to Cultist Simulator, and Friday has been sort of open for the last little while, so I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do for that yet, but I have some plans. I just need to settle in on that when there's a couple of things that are coming up, so I'm waiting for those to bear fruit before I go too far on it. Anyways, I spent too much time talking. Have a good evening. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.